Bit cheesy.
Yeah.
Bit cheesy. Yeah,
Hello and welcome to Fangin Around.
Hanging around.
Episode 5-ish. Recording on the 7th of November 2011 for the historians who are downloading this in 100 years in the future. Hey, I'm James.
I'm Harry.
And I'm Campbell.
Woo!
Woo! Woo!
Okay, guys. So, what have you been up to? What have you been consuming?
I actually saw a couple of movies. You guys know, but listeners at home might not know. Back in high school and just out of high school, I used to watch a lot of films. I used to almost be on par with you, James, probably in the amount of films I'd watch. It was a lot. But as of late, I have not been watching films really at all. It's sort of like one a month, maybe. But I watched 2 films this week. One of them was Bridesmaids. These aren't new releases. This is like...
Holy shit. I watched Bridesmaids this week as well.
Whoa!
Was that in preparation for the wedding?
Mate.
Step
no,
back.
This was after the wedding.
Ah.
This is when I was hungover.
Okay, well, what are your thoughts on Bridesmaids? Have you watched Bridesmaids, James?
Yes, I have.
We've all seen this film. This is a
Wow.
rare occurrence.
We could do a review.
We could do a review. Okay, let's do a roundtable
Let's
review.
do a
Let's
review.
do it. There will be spoilers.
Yeah.
Cue
Skip
Bridesmaids. Yeah.
So you
All
don't
right,
hear
Harry.
us talking about Bridesmaids.
Yeah.
I wasn't that impressed. I thought it was a bit boring. Bit kind of cheesy. Not in a good way. It's meant to be one of those kind of stupid, funny sort of movies you just watch, not really think about, but just didn't do it for me. I didn't really think it was funny. And, yeah. Story was crap.
I have to say that as a huge fan of cinema that features uncontrollable diarrhea, this was a bit of a letdown.
Really?
I don't know, maybe it's because it's girls doing it.
Oh, James, don't be so sexist.
Oh, come on.
I don't know.
Whoa.
I did like the scene where she shat in the middle of the street. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
God, I like a good
I mean, I'm a
spell.
big fan of Rose Byrne. Everyone knows that. And the girl from The Office.
I think Rose knows it as well. That's why she took out
Yeah.
that restraining
Yeah.
order, wasn't it? Yeah.
Infamous for having a restraining order, I guess, by Rose Byrne. But, although, not so much since we actually know someone who's an exact doppelganger, so it's a bit weird.
Who?
Salacia.
Oh. Where we go?
Dead Ringers. But I thought there was some good moments in it from memory. I'm just struggling to remember it, but I remember there being some nice, interesting moments for one of those sort of gross-out comedies. Always wanted to see Kirsten Wiig in more stuff because she always has these random bit parts that don't seem to do her justice. Yeah, and the girl from The Office, she's really funny in The Office. She's probably the only good thing about keeping to watch the American Office, and she seemed underused in the movie.
Yeah, I thought she was kind of... I almost found it distracting in Bridesmaids because I just kept thinking, it's that girl from The Office.
All right.
And
Would you have actually caught up where she joins?
No, look, I haven't been watching them. I haven't been watching them heavily, but I saw a couple of recent episodes on TV.
Is this The Office? Is there a new girl in it which I haven't seen? Because I don't recall Bridesmaids having anyone from The Office.
Yeah, there's one of the
the new secretary that plays Pam as the secretary,
Yeah.
the receptionist. Sorry.
Oh, okay, so I haven't seen that.
Um,
I only got up to season 3.
she's one of the few funny things in the new seasons of Office, but
So which one is she in the Bridesmaids?
she's like the redhead.
Yeah, she's the kind of youngish looking redhead one who's never slept with anyone else except her fiance, and she's really like pumped about getting married and being married, but she's in it like such a wisp of a part. But I went into the film. I'd seen the trailer. And that was it. I hadn't read any reviews. I hadn't even talked to anyone who'd seen it or anything like that. But I was going into it, and my understanding of the film was this is exactly what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be The Hangover, but with girls.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a hen's night in Vegas because in the trailer it's like
We're going to Vegas.
We're going to Vegas,
Yeah.
and then it's that badass kind of the right stuff shot of them getting on the plane, and then they're all like trashed on the plane and getting up to wild shit. And so I was like, okay, it's just going to be The Hangover, but with chicks. And I didn't like The Hangover, but I was like, okay, well, let's see. This might be funnier with girls.
Yeah.
But there wasn't even a hen's night in the film.
No,
Yeah.
because they got stuck.
They got
on the
booted
plane.
off the plane.
Yeah,
And then there was no
twist.
end. Yeah.
And
So this film caught me completely off guard.
yeah,
I thought it was going to be one thing. It was something completely different, and I really liked it. I didn't like the ending. I thought it was kind of unresolved and not as good as it could be. But I thought there were lots of good moments in it.
Can I ask what happened in the ending? She will live happily ever after? Or?
Yeah, she hooked up with that Irish-Scottish
Oh,
cop.
the guy from IT Crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and but that wasn't even really explained how he came to be okay with her being a bit dickish, and I don't know. There was just like a lot of kind of build up to something's going to happen, and then it didn't really resolve. If that makes sense, or it didn't. It didn't come together. Well, I didn't feel it pulled together in the way it could have. It just kind of felt like, oh, we're at 100. We're at 90 minutes. We better kind of wrap this shit up.
Yeah, yeah.
But I thought it was nice. I liked it a lot. So that was Bridesmaids. I liked it. Harry? No, didn't like it. James?
Not a fan.
It was, it was, I didn't, whatever I paid to see it was worthwhile.
Okay. Now, the next film I watched this week was called The Myth of the American Sleepover.
Mm-hmm.
Has anyone seen that? Have you guys seen that?
I've seen the trailer for it.
Yeah. I guess it's, I don't even know. I haven't even read anything about it, but it was like sort of like a little indie film. I think it was filmed in Detroit. I could be wildly wrong.
I seem to remember liking the trailer. Like, it had an interesting trailer, or maybe it had an interesting poster, something unique. I remember, but
No, it had a really nice trailer.
yeah,
And poster was alright, but the trailer was beautiful. And I guess it's about those sort of, it's one of those kind of coming of age films, but it's in that sort of mumblecore style of filmmaking, sort of like more akin to Napoleon Dynamite, where everyone's emotions are just like flatlined, and so I guess it's sort of like American Pie meets maybe Napoleon Dynamite, but not funny. And there's that idea, that tension. So I think it's the last day of summer break before everyone goes to high school or off to uni. I can't even tell. No, it must be off to high school. And everyone's having these last night sleepovers, all the groups, and they're all sort of planning on, the boys' sleepover is going to catch up with the girls' sleepover, and so and so's going to make out. But it's more like how things really are, where nothing really happens. And there's this promise of like amazement. Yeah. And it's sort of, everyone's just sort of freaking out and nervous, and nothing really goes on. So it's beautiful, and it's not funny. So it's like, you don't go into it thinking it's American Pie.
Can I ask how you saw it?
Yeah, I just went to like the video store and it was there.
On DVD.
Yeah. And I just looked at it and I was like, oh, I remember seeing the trailer and liking that. And yeah, so I'd recommend it, but it's not going to make you laugh. It'll make you feel melancholy. If you
Is
want to
it
feel
like... Is there a story?
Yeah. It's like one night. It's one night and it follows about 4 or 5 different groups of people or individuals in their respective groups.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a gentle, slow kind of film, really beautifully shot, great performances from all the actors, but really low key. Everyone's just kind of playing it real simple and slow, and it's kind of a little bit. It's not magic realist at all, but it's got that kind of. So much of it's set at night. It's a little bit. When you go to sleep, in high school you go to sleepovers and you just wind up walking the streets at night.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that in the film, and you know how you feel kind of alive at that. When you're doing that when you're with a group and you're in that sort of, in the night, and there's that promise of adventure sort of thing. It captures all of that. It's really cool. Yeah, I liked it a lot, but it has that charm of nothing really happening. So you do feel that kind of pang of. I don't know.
I think probably the first time I ever met Campbell was a sleepover, and we were out on the streets with lots of promise, and then Cameron
broke his arm.
Yeah, broke his arm right.
Well, that was a bit of excitement. That was probably the most exciting thing that ever happened in the night times. Yeah. But then there was always things that did happen, I guess. Like that. Or like that time we stole all his tyres.
And that shows that age, right? Because there was only one person with a mobile phone back then, and he had to call, and then he had to ask permission for his parents to call, because he didn't want it, because his parents were paying for his mobile phone.
Yeah,
that's how long ago it was.
Yeah. It was a world away, wasn't it?
Yeah. It is amazing how fast mobile phones took off. Like by the end of high school, like just about everyone had one. Now, what have you been consuming? Oh, you got another movie.
No, those are the two. Those are my two.
Sorry, which were the two? Oh, just those two. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not a lot, really. What I've discovered, has anyone seen Daigo web browser?
No.
Is this for our iPad?
It's for iPad, but also for... It's a Google Chrome extension.
Yeah.
I've just been experimenting with it. It's like... I was looking for something to save all my bookmarks so I could have my same bookmarks on my iPad as I could on my desktop.
Mm-hmm.
But this thing also, like, it does that, but it also logs, like, you can...
It's on your Windows desktop.
Yeah. You can annotate web pages, and it'll save your bookmarks, and then you can highlight bits of it and make comments and that sort of stuff. And that'll all save it so I can go onto my iPad and look at web pages that I've seen on my desktop, and they'll all be annotated the way I've annotated them.
Yep.
What do you mean annotated? What have you been doing with them?
Like, you can just highlight sections, phrases. But you can also do things like, if it's like a blog, you can, like, cache a particular moment in time, so you can always go back to that particular day and see what was there and that time. And you can, like, it's really cool. And you can, like, share it with other people, so anyone else that uses this, you can go to one web page and see what other people have annotated.
Yeah, because I remember a year or so ago, or maybe a few years ago, there was talk about, like, browsers where you could...
So how do you spell it? Just what are we looking? Is it
D-I-I-G-O?
D-I-I-G-O.
Like Digo.
It's got a stupid name.
Digo.
Web highlighter.
Yeah,
Digo.com.
I remember a few years ago there was a lot of talk about this notion of, I guess annotating websites, almost like graffiti, and then that could be a public layer that was placed over the top that you could turn on and off, sort of thing, where people could do whatever they wanted. But as sort of comments fields and Facebook and whatnot made that kind of redundant, or is it still? Are you finding it useful?
I think
Harry?
the biggest one was I don't know. I never use it. Google had bought this project called SideWiki, which is like you could put this extension on, I guess, on your browser, and then you could sort of write a wiki about the web browser, so people can add notes about the stuff that's on the browser. I guess like it's a whole Wikipedia on top of the real web. But then they closed it down just a couple of months ago. So, and I know Harry was looking for something like this, but I started the thing closest I came, if we're going to talk about apps for a bit, was a browser called Grazing, and it's just for iPad and iPhone, but it has you can get a Mac component, like a little extension for Mac. It's in the Mac App Store for free, and what you do is you send the main feature is that it has an omnibar, because if you miss the omnibar on your iPad, it has that. It also has like full screen with edge gestures navigation, but it allows you to push websites. So it's like if you're coming home on your iPhone, you're walking from the bus station or something, and you're browsing web and you don't want to look at it anymore, you can either push that address to your Mac or your iPad, and it just appears, and you open it and opens the page that you're looking at. But it doesn't have notes, and you can create a reading list, so you can save web pages that you've been looking at. Even if you can't immediately push it to your Mac, you can just save it to your list, so that when it's on your list when you get home on your Mac. But it doesn't have notes like you were asking for. But that was
this does that as well. You can save things,
and this is for Android
reading
as well. I think Grazing's only for iOS, isn't it?
Yeah.
But how? I mean,
so have you got it to work on your phone?
I don't have a fancy phone.
So yours, but do you have the? I thought you had the Android App Store.
Yeah, it's a shit phone though. I try and use it as less as possible.
But in terms of creating reading lists and whatnot, do you still keep it like a RSS reader?
I never worked out how to use RSS Reader.
Because I got into RSS, but then I subscribed to like about 80 websites.
Yeah, and then
that shit I couldn't keep up with, because I was like, I want to keep up with these websites, and then I subscribed to them all, and then it's like, holy shit, I can't keep up with this. and then I panic and freak out, and then I don't open my RSS reader because there's too much to read. And so I haven't touched that in forever. But then it's like, if you are keeping on top of all this stuff, if you're using all these apps, like, how do you keep up? Like, sometimes I feel there's, just a flood of information just on Twitter, and then you compound that with Facebook.
Pretty much.
And if you've got an RSS and it feeds that you subscribe to, and then if you're creating a reading list of just your regular browsing, like, that's full on. That's a lot of content.
Well, we talk about a lot of this on the Cytocast. Whether you should use RSS or other things to keep up with stuff. And I was the same with you. I gave up RSS. I would just waste time because I wanted to make sure my reading list was down to 0 by but then you waste the whole day reading all this stuff. So now I follow every web page and every person I find interesting on Twitter, and then if it pops up while I'm on Twitter, I try not to use Twitter all the time and check it when I'm bored, and then if it pops up in the last half an hour and as I'm browsing through the stream, I'll read it. And I rely, and I know it's lazy, but I rely on recommendations from my Twitter list of what to read. And I've cut down to the websites I follow to like 3 or 4, and I actually read them from the browser. Do you know what I mean? I don't use the RSS, so I only see what's on the front page. So I guess I miss something, but usually you don't. Between like services like Reddit, where you've got other people doing the work for you by picking out the stuff you want. Service like Twitter, where you've got the people, your peers, or people you look up to recommending stuff. Articles. Another great app, if you've got an iPad, if you use Flipboard, I know you don't use Twitter, right? But what it does is Flipboard it gathers all the links on your Twitter feed from the people you're following and turns it into like a magazine. So if all your friends are recommending, this is a great article, it turns it into a magazine of all those articles of the people you follow.
That's a cool idea.
And I don't use that much, but probably because I use my iPad more for like videos and like while I'm in bed. It's my bedside.
Your bedside computer.
Yeah.
So you got your iPhone, you got your iPad, you got your MacBook Air.
Well, I probably should read more on it because like I should keep my MacBook just for work. Otherwise I get distracted when I go onto my MacBook, but I make the iPad for play sort of thing. So you segregate yourself.
Yeah.
But so you recommend Digo?
You finding it useful?
I'm just getting into it.
Or you're just exploring it? You're just
Harry, what are you going to get?
I use it for work because and it's also got, along with annotating, it's got like a notes function. So built into the Google browser, when you have the extension, there's a notes function there. So you can highlight a section of text and then right click on it and it'll say create a note. And it can create a note and it'll back up to the Digo cloud, and then that note will be on my iPad when I go and check it out. And so it's a good way. I've been looking for something like that to have all the kind of my notes and stuff centralized in one spot, and I don't have to frick around with different applications and stuff.
I'll check that out. I'll report back. Now, Harry, what are you going to get to replace your phone? Are you going to get a new Android, or are you going to go iOS?
Jury's out.
Have you seen the new Nexus phone they announced? I don't know when it's coming to Australia, but...
What does that mean, jury's out? Does that mean that you've reached a verdict or you haven't?
I haven't reached a verdict.
It's out to decide?
The jury's heard all the evidence, but yeah, they're like debating it.
Yeah, I'm not giving you a hard time. I've never figured out that expression. Because I mean, they're out. You mean they're out of the room? They've come out and they've decided, or the jury's out of the court?
Wouldn't it mean the jury's in?
Yeah, or the jury's back.
No,
or the jury's not back. The jury's gone. The jury's deliberating.
Is it out of the courtroom?
The jury's deliberating. That's what I think it is.
Yeah, but they're out of the courtroom.
Yeah, so the jury's out. So they're out of the courtroom.
Oh, okay. I don't think it's intuitive. I don't think.
Yeah, probably not.
Okay, but you're still, jury is not decided.
I dislike my current phone, but there are no plans to buy a new one.
When's your contract up?
It's already up, but we're planning to go to the UK in July, so I can't really get another contract, a 12-month contract, before then, so... Unless I buy something outright,
well, you can pay it out ahead of time. So all you have to do is just, one bill, instead of paying $60 or whatever it is, you just pay, $200 so that it's all paid off. thing is, if you buy outright, you still have to pay for credit, rather than if you get a 1 month contract, you get like $200. Like my iPhone, I'm on a 1 year contract for my iPhone 4S, right? And a normal iPhone 4S, just the base model that I got, is like $800.
Yeah.
But after all the I've paid for off the data, right? It's only like $200 extra for a year. So I'm essentially paying $200 for an $800 phone, if that makes sense. See, if you buy it outright, then you have to keep buying credit and data to keep it working for 12 months, and you've already paid all that money, so you end up usually paying more. So if you get a 1 year contract, it is more expensive than, obviously with you. I think you're on a 2 year contract, so you get the phone completely free.
Yeah.
So, so it's $200 more expensive to get in 1 year, but then you can buy a new phone the next year. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe I'll look into it.
Because I think by the time, if you bought it right, well, yeah, if you wanted to wait for the Galaxy Nexus,
but if I buy it out, don't you have to pay? You just have to pay your contract out for 2 months, and that'll be like $200.
Yeah, but right, okay, yeah, but you still.
So I may as well buy it out, right?
No, but then you have to pay all the data contract on top of that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
So if you buy it out, you buy a new phone for $800, right? I think that's the cheapest iPhone, and it's probably the same with like, similar Android phones. And then you go on a prepaid plan, so you're paying $60 a month or whatever you look at I don't know what your data usage and your call usage is, and you pay that. But I mean, a minimum data contract for like 200 megabytes a month is like $30, and you probably get a few calls, and that's only 200 megabytes a month, which probably is okay if you don't use it that much, but you're paying that on top of what you already paid for, rather than, I don't know. I'm sure you can do the math and work it out and compare it. But
yeah, the thing is, I don't really have a big contract on my normal phone at the moment. I'm only on $30 a month.
And how many megabytes do you get?
None.
Yeah, and then you don't use it as a internet phone. But if you start using it,
I don't use it as an internet phone because it's got the worst keypad in the world, and I don't even text message people anymore. I call them up because it's too much effort.
But if you start using it as an internet phone, then you're going to use at least 200 megabytes a month. So you have to find a plan.
Yeah.
And so your phone is this hateful phone.
Oh, it's run out of batteries and it's.
Well, can I just see the physicality of it?
Nah, let's
not here.
Sorry.
That's how much you hate it.
That's how much I hate it.
You have to iMessage you.
It runs out of batteries, and I just like, oh fuck, I don't want to recharge that.
Well, moving on to what were you saying? Jury's Out. Yeah, I watched.
Oh, what? Isn't there a Pauly Shore movie? Like,
oh, that is a great movie. I love it. He had a trilogy of great films. It's like In the Army Now, Biodome, and Jury Duty.
Jury Duty. I think that's the Pauly Shore trilogy, really.
Was he in Encino Man, or was that someone else?
Encino Man. Yeah, he was in that.
But I didn't love that film. Maybe if I rewatched it.
What? That was the best. Encino Man.
I don't remember that. My Pauly... In the Army Now was great as well.
You said that one already.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That was part of the trilogy.
All right. In the Army Now, Biodome.
Was he collaborating with a director in all of those? Was he like some director's Robert De Niro? Was he was he someone's...
I don't know. Jury Duty.
John Fortenberry.
So yeah, I watched. Speaking of muses and whatnot, I watched Woody Allen, Whatever Works with the guy from Curb Your Enthusiasm, Larry David.
Mm-hmm.
Watched that, and his character is anti cliched sayings like "jury's out" and stuff like that. It's got Evan Rachel Wood as like a dumb Southern belle, and the hot old woman that's always hot and old and stuff. I can't remember her name. And
No. Go back. I need her name. Who are you talking about? This hot old woman.
I can't remember her name. She's always plays the hot old woman in everything.
In what though?
Whatever Works. Okay, fact checking. You guys have to talk while I'm fact checking.
Whatever Works. Let's guess who he's talking about. Is it?
Is this a recent movie or a not recent movie?
It's recent. Who's hot and old? Is it Betty White?
No, younger than that.
Oh, Megan Fox.
No,
older. We'll do it. Price is Right
Is
style.
She blonde or brown?
Is he
or
Minnie
red?
Driver?
She's hot.
Patricia Clarkson.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, well, you'll recognise as soon as you see it, Patricia Clarkson.
Swing that air book around.
No.
She's a bit hot, yeah.
What has she been in?
Okay, so she's the hot older woman in Parks and Recreation. She plays Tammy 1 in Parks and Recreation. If you know Parks and Recreation, you know how famous the Tammys are.
Terrible show, Parks and Recreation.
Friends with Benefits. I'm sure she's playing a hottie now. I haven't seen that movie.
I haven't seen it.
Easy A. She plays, I think, the mother in Easy A.
Haven't seen it.
Oh, you would love Easy A.
Would I?
Put that on your list. That would be your next most favourite movie.
Okay.
Are you into the girl who's in that? What's her name?
I'm into her.
She's Emma Stone. You guys Emma Stone fans yet?
I don't know.
I know one of you will watch that movie and come out as like the biggest Emma Stone fan.
I'm an Emma Stone fan.
Oh, right. You already know her. So you already know Easy A. Is that what you're saying?
I've never seen Easy A.
Right. She's playing the new Spider-Man girl. What's the one that wasn't in the others?
Or Gwen Stacy?
Probably Gwen Stacy, yeah. So what's the other one?
Mary Jane.
Mary Jane. Yeah, she's playing Gwen Stacy, the new Gwen Stacy, I think.
Cameron, did you ever watch the last Spider-Man movie?
Yeah, I mean, Mary Jane was in... Gwen Stacy was in the last Spider-Man film.
I could be wrong. Maybe she's playing Mary Jane, but I'm pretty sure the new one's going to be concentrated on Gwen Stacy. She's really more of a main character, I think. Yeah, she's playing, Amazing Spider-Man Gwen Stacy. Now... Okay.
What were we even talking about? There's a Woody Allen film with a hottie. And someone hates cliched...
Yeah, Larry
phrases.
David's character hates cliched sayings like, the jury's out. Stuff like that.
Does it come up a lot in the film?
Yeah, all the time.
And does he give people
Because basically he marries this young girl, Evan Rachel Wood, who's the dumb Southern belle, and she speaks a Southern, cliched. She's a cliched Southern girl. Everything she says is like a metaphor or a cliche, I mean, I don't know. You'll know what I'm talking about. Arrested Development, I'm sure she played hottie in that.
She pretty much plays a hottie in everything she does.
Yeah, I mean, she's probably the oldest hottie in the world. 1959. What's that make her? 60? 50. Oh, she's not that old.
52.
So she's the same age as Madonna. But with Madonna, you're like, ugh. But with her, you're like, oh, hey, she's still holding up,
That's nice.
That's the movie I watched. Also, I went go-kart racing.
Oh, yeah?
Bugs Party.
$80, right?
Mm-hmm.
For two 20 laps. 2 20-lap races. So that's 40 laps in total. Each lap is... my fastest lap was 26 seconds. Probably my slowest lap was 28 seconds. So that's $4 a minute? I don't know. Something like that. You're burning up.
So...
Pretty expensive.
Not that good.
It's just...
Bang for your buck.
Insanely expensive, yeah. Although we had an exclusive track, so maybe it's cheaper if you just go with the plebs. But we had so many people with the Bucks Party that it felt like you're...
With the plebs.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So I didn't feel that
And it
special.
wasn't like you lined up and you started racing each other according to heats. You just pull out the pit lane and keep racing, and it's just whoever got the fastest lap time.
Right, so there wasn't like 3, 2, 1, and then checkered flag sort of action. And
I came fifth, but I went around the whole course without taking my foot off the accelerator and not using the brake at all. So it's obviously all about how you maintain momentum in your turns. But it's when you start off, it's like too fast. It is indoor, okay? So it's a really small circuit. You're doing like weaving around indoors. And you're just surprised. I am just blown away that you just spin out. Like, there must be so much grip on those tires that you don't... Because you're going so fast in such tight turns that it's like only one corner. I mean, my best time I think I came through where I only slipped around one corner. I think that's where if you slip around, that's all what it's about. But yeah, in terms of value for money, I mean, they must be making how much? What they put some fuel in the car, and that's what all it's costing them.
I guess I don't know. I don't know how often these things must get serviced or tyres replaced, but it wouldn't be that often because they're not. But what sort of speeds were you going?
I remember the only other times I've been, other than Adventure World, other times I've been go-karting outside of Adventure World, I remember it being really expensive as well. And I remember going to one like out Bath Bargagella, and I literally got 2 laps for like $100 or something.
Really?
That's what I seem to remember. I think maybe if I qualified for the final, I would have got a 3rd race, but...
You were in a go-kart, were you?
Yeah.
What sort of speeds were you doing? Did it have a speedometer? Or?
No, they measured it in revolutions per minute.
Oh.
And I got like 1,200 revolutions per minute, which is the maximum you can get.
Well, what does that mean? What does that mean?
I don't know.
You don't know what it's meaningless.
I don't know what that means.
Depends
Why did they measure that?
Diameter of the tire.
Yeah, well, it depends on so many factors.
So I don't know why they...
Yeah.
Stupid.
Surely they could work out if they know the length of the track and I did my fastest lap, they actually email you the results. So maybe if they tell you what the length of the track, I could work it out myself. But, yeah.
And was there a gear stick, or was it just...
No, you just put your foot on the accelerator and just go. Boom.
So is there just one gear in it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there is different... There's probably pro cars, and you can probably bring your own go-kart that has gears. Like, when we were there was just one guy... When we arrived, there's just one guy on the track, and he was going... I don't know what it looked like compared to us, but he looked like he was going so fast, I just couldn't believe he was staying on the track.
Right. So has that apart from the cost of it, has that given you a bit of a need for speed, sort of?
Well, as you know, I'm a big Formula 1 fan, so I'm like, in my head, I've been practicing for this event the whole year. But then you get there and it's like accelerate the corners, but then if you never take your foot off the accelerator, how do you...
Yeah, it's quite a different beast,
I
isn't
don't
it?
know.
Did you beat Cameron by him?
No, I always came like within a couple of seconds of him. But he came... 2 races, he came 5th and I came 6th in both races, so... out of 10 people, I think, so... Yeah.
Have you thought... I know you're saying that's, really expensive. And, it is. But have you looked into any further racing? Because I know at Barbagallo's there are organisations that, it is more expensive. It's like $400 or something, I think.
Yeah.
But you can race like a Lamborghini for half an hour or an hour.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it. I would like to do something where you actually, a race team.
A team?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
You'd like to change the tyres?
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, the Mount Panorama, you have 2 drivers, and you have a whole pit crew, and you swap drivers, and in Le Mans, you do the same thing. If you guys all wanted to do racing, and we could share the cost of one car, and, but obviously I probably still couldn't afford that at the moment. But
no, I don't think any of us
if we all went on the mines and we had all this excess money, we could start a team.
We could use my
start a
car.
race team.
Right.
And that's an idea.
Well, there's also rally racing, where you have one person that gives you directions and you can go out and...
Yeah, that's like the most terrifying fucking insane thing ever.
I remember there was a girl at Perth Mod that her dad was full into it, and because she was lightest in her family, she was, and I remember talking to her...
co-pilot.
She was the co-pilot, and so she was full into that kind of stuff because she...
Who the hell was that?
Yeah, who was
Vivian,
that?
she was like a year below us, Vivian Moore.
That's crazy.
I haven't even seen her since high school, and I've Googled her on Facebook.
Why do you remember her name if you haven't seen her in like 10 years? I mean, I remember... obviously I remember people's names,
I don't forget people that actually know.
Okay. But I mean, that's quite impressive to be able to pull that just like off the top of your head.
No, I mean, I'm good with names of people I actually know.
Okay.
I've actually met in real life and spoken to. Everyone else, like at high school, I only knew people that either I sat next to or I hung out with.
Yeah.
Which was a fairly limited group because I did mostly the same classes between 11 and 12 Perth Mod. I mean, at Swanbourne I probably knew everyone because there was only like 60 people in a class, but...
in terms of that racing thing that I was mentioning earlier, you get driven, like, I think the first couple of laps you get driven around by a professional driver. And then he sits as a co-pilot as you're going around. So he's like, accelerate, brake, and probably just shouting shit at you. But that'd be kind of fun. If you had the money, I think that'd be a fun thing to do.
Yeah. I reckon that'd be cool.
I think that'd be a fun thing. It'd be like...
I always liked, how the Formula 1 in Melbourne, they show you all the pre-races. Yeah. So they have the celebrity race, and I'm like, you don't have to be much of a celebrity. Pretty much if you've been on,
Sunrise,
you can get on it. So one day I'm hoping that, maybe if I direct a film that year, they'll say, hey, do you want to...
Or just say, I've got the premier Apple podcast in Australia.
They have two cars that you can be or you have to, they have two sponsor cars so that you enter that sponsor's competition and you can be just a nobody and drive,
Yeah, well, why don't you get into it? Start it.
I don't know.
Or just
Get sponsored by a brewery. Start a cast.
Yeah.
Good thinking.
Yeah.
They're heaps into that racing
shit.
Yeah.
Well, nothing goes together like booze and driving.
I need to get Sail and Anchor on. I know I get a few hits from people Googling Sail and Anchor campaign. So I wonder if it's like the people who organise all the PR for Sail and Anchor that are Googling and finding my website when I tasted the cider, Sail and Anchor cider. Anyway, so I've lost the show notes again, but is that all we've been consuming? We could probably move on. We've talked ages. Save it for next week. Topics. All my dicks are coming. So did you guys check out the links?
I did.
What do you think of multicopters?
Multicopters?
Oh, shit, I never did.
Oh, Harry. I even sent you an email telling you to check the links.
I checked out one link. I didn't see a link for multicopters.
Multicopters, it was the first one. All right. James, you want to give us a rundown of what a multicopter is? Or should I give you a rundown? Because I don't know really what it is. All right, so basically it's one of those fit balls, and you sit on it, and there's about 24 tiny sort of house fans around you, and it lifts you up about 3 meters off the ground for about a minute, and then it puts you back down. Okay, that's basically what it is.
That sounds awesome.
James, do you want to add any facts to that?
Well, I mean, obviously I love V-22 Ospreys, which are those things that sort of, they have a couple of rotors and they're tilt rotor aircraft. These don't tilt though, do they? It just puts you up and down.
I think it's a stable platform sort of thing.
What I don't understand is why the seat is above the rotors. That sounds very dangerous.
Well, when you see these rotors, you might not think it's that dangerous.
No.
I mean, there's lots of rotors. When I say multicopter, I mean it's got lots of...
There's about 20, right?
Yeah.
There's about 20 rotors.
Still think it looks pretty dangerous.
Okay, so we're watching the video right now. The guy's lifting. He's about 3-4 meters off... probably about 2 meters off the ground. In a field. It's got a bit of a Wright Brothers feel to it, doesn't it?
Yeah,
like totally pointless, like folly.
Yeah, and you look at it and you go, oh, this is... Holy shit, I can't believe these guys are doing this. But also kind of like, no, that's a bit stupid. That's going to be of no use to anyone.
Yeah.
I think give it a year and $1 billion of military funding, and we're going to see some terrifying results.
Like once the computer is able to individually control each rotor to change your direction, and translate that into like a joystick, so you can just move through there.
Yeah, I can't imagine them being used for manned flight though. I mean, obviously they've stuck a person on it, I think, just for show. But I mean, what would the purpose be for a manned flight?
This is almost like the Science Hour, but it's all mechanics.
What would you have, like a sniper there? But why would you do that?
Well, I saw it the other day. I think it was probably landline, but like people using that sort of thing for farming, where they like stick a camera on it so they can like scan the crops and they can look at different regions of crop growth, and they can put a spray tank on it and they can fly really low over crops and spray the weeds really fast and stuff like that.
Okay.
And they can stick cameras on it so you can like look at for different patches, and you can scan for different wavelengths of light, and like if you see an odd wavelength in your field, then you can squirt a bit of spray and try and kill whatever's there.
So you're talking about it for non-military means?
Yeah.
Oh, I hadn't even thought about that.
So anyway,
it's got a bit of a Segway vibe to it as well. I have to throw that out there.
All right. Well, I mean, I think it was when our first episode we at least put on the feed. I can't remember. We talked about quantum levitation.
That was amazing.
So it's all leading up to, I guess, a discussion of: are we disappointed that we don't have the flying car yet? Obviously,
devastated.
There is prototypes out there that work, but when you were a kid, did you kind of, we were watching Beyond 2000. Did you have hopes of?
I think forget our generation. What about the generation that saw the moon landing live? How fucking disappointed would kids be? Like, imagine you being a 10-year-old watching that moon landing. All of a sudden, there's a human fucking being on them. Because we've grown up and that's always been a truth. That there was
Yeah,
this
yeah.
dude or a couple of dudes that went on the moon and they drove around and they played golf in that. Imagine seeing that shit live and just going, holy crap, this is a new world we're entering.
Yeah.
And then what? I mean,
I guess-
Branson's like ramped shit up
Yeah.
recently, and that's exciting. With the just last week or a fortnight ago, he opened a spaceport or whatever, and that's looking cool. Like hopefully that's going to lead somewhere. But I feel worse for the people that saw the moon landing than myself. They must have been. Ooh.
Now, the other thing about that generation, right? The only notable thing they did after that was they went to Mars for the first time and put landers on Mars and took photos. And then, because before those landers arrived, everyone thought they were Martians for sure,
Yeah, well, they
and
killed
the
that
War of the
dream.
Worlds and stuff.
No, I still think there's Martians there. They didn't put like one lander in this fucking
Yeah,
huge planet.
I'm not saying that, but it kind of killed the
Bit of a buzzkill.
the myth of the Martians, right?
Not for me.
But they didn't have the internet, right? Our generation, right, had the Pathfinder, which was like at the time, the Pathfinder in 1997 was the most visited site on the internet. It broke all the records because it had this little rover that, tiny little rover the size of a Tonka truck that drove off into Mars, about 5 meters, and like the world went crazy. And that single event probably, everyone bought computers just so they could watch the rover website. That's where the internet took off, basically, when the Mars Pathfinder thing. But when they had when the Viking landers landed, you just woke up and you checked the paper the next day, and it's like, oh yeah, here's the pictures of Mars. Do you think it had the same hype?
No, I don't think so.
This is.
But I don't think Mars has held the same interest for the public,
Yeah.
and it never has because it's not manned.
And you can't see it.
I think
It would have sent men.
as soon as if you send a team to Mars,
Yeah,
that's going to
that's
blow
true.
people's minds. The public wants manned space flights. They do not want satellites or orbiters or shuttles with little robots in it. They don't want that. They want a dude in a badass suit sticking a flag in the ground saying I was here, because otherwise it's just And I feel I think it's interesting, but I don't think it's as interesting as sending a person.
Now, this segues into one of our favourite topics, which is the Mars 500 crew actually landed in inverted quotes this week, which were the guys that were locked up for 18 months in a sort of, a completely isolated environment to simulate the psychological effects of what a journey to Mars would be like.
For a team of humans.
Yeah, if you're locked up with a team of people for 18 months of only delayed contact, like they literally...
Yeah, they simulated all the contact
Delays,
issues.
yeah.
So as they got further into the trip, I think they fell out of communication even for a period of time where they couldn't communicate with the outside world, in inverted commas.
So it's called Mars 500 because it was 500 days. Obviously, now the journey to Mars is 9 months, and 9 months there, 9 months back. And I guess the idea of the Mars 500 project is that that would leave you like 2 weeks to explore the Mars, when you got there. But the problem is with the planetary alignment is you'd almost have to stay there at 9 months to wait for the planetary alignment to come back before you can take the journey back to Earth.
Oh, really?
It should really be
that.
like a Mars 1000 or something like that.
Jeez. I mean, that's quite a substantial
So
increase of
it
travel time.
doesn't perfectly simulate it, but these guys survived. So I guess if they do a Mars 1000 mission,
Are they first in line?
apparently, I don't know. It could be. They reckon 2030 is the earliest we'll be going. So that's 20 years from now. So they'll probably be too old to go.
Yeah.
And there's also, talk whether should the people who first go to Mars, should they come back?
No, they should stay.
They should start, an established thing and just not expect to come back, should we?
No, I don't think that.
Because obviously, when the first Americans came, they set up shop and they didn't
You mean
leave.
to the new Americas?
Yeah.
Okay. Not to the moon.
Obviously, people came to Australia, but then, the first...
Whoa. Oh, that was a wine glass, folk. I thought that was feedback.
Them's good wine glasses, James.
Yeah.
Quality.
So what do you think of...
I disagree. They should come back.
They should definitely come back.
That should be part of the mission.
Yeah, definitely. You got to be able to make sure people can come back. If people are just going to be depressed. The general public would be outraged, I think. I think you get a few people, supporting it. But I think ethically and...
I don't think anyone would support it.
Apparently, communication is the key. Apparently, the only time the crew actually, got, a bit crazy was during August when their families were on summer vacation, obviously in the Northern Hemisphere, and they weren't sending messages as regularly as normal, and that's when they started to freak out.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it was smooth sailing for this crew. So,
I mean, I think you could resolve that sort of issue by pilots' families having to enter into employment.
Yeah, obviously,
I think it'd be quite easy.
Even if they're on holiday and you could, their iPhones could connect up to the network so that you can do a FaceTime to Mars anytime you wanted. It could fix that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would have to really be a family, adventure, I guess, where people would have to, sign on as support crew, from back home, because it's the only way something like that would work. But I don't think we should be pioneering on our first trip. I mean, I don't think that's necessarily such a good idea.
Yeah.
What would you even...
What would be the point? What would be the objective of setting up a colony on Mars? There's no objective.
Yeah, I don't quite understand. I mean, if you're looking at resources, I mean, it's going to take... We can't take any of them back here with us.
Yeah.
And if we're looking at establishing a whole new colony there, then you're talking about... Well, I don't even know what the point would be.
Terraforming, not too hard. Give it up.
No colonizing on the first trip. I don't see the point.
They should set up a mine on the moon. Surely there's some good shit that you could mine.
Yeah, but...
James, what's on the moon?
What are the logistics of having to get stuff back, though? Like...
Yeah, you need a rocket ship.
Man, you imagine... And like Mars mining, we have enough problems with like FIFO workers here doing 3 weeks on, 1 week off. What are you going to do? Like 18, or like 2 years on, 3 years off. Man, that's going to fuck with people.
Moon? The movie Moon?
No. I do think about it every now and again, though.
You should see that. I think that was a movie you would like.
I love Sam Rockwell. I think it's magic.
It's sort of like Sam Rockwell if he was in 2001 Space Odyssey.
Yeah. I like him. He's cool. But I read the wiki on it, so I know what happens.
Well, that ruins it.
I know. No, because I chatted with you one night, and you were like, "Yeah, the ending was disappointing." And then I got home, and I was like, I wonder what
it was the
is.
middle of the morning. I almost walked out. Right, it was one of the first movies. The only other movie I've considered walking out was The Parent Trap, the remake with Lindsay Lohan. Right, and I couldn't because I was taking my sister. That my mum had employed me to take my sister to the movie.
Wow,
so I couldn't walk out, and I sit there and I almost vomited in the cinema. It was that bad. But this movie, I almost walked out of it. But I'm sort of glad I stayed in because the ending sort of redeemed it, because it was such a it started off as such a sort of cheesy rip off of 2001. I was just like, oh, this is so unoriginal, But then I guess the ending redeemed itself.
I think it's part of like a trilogy or something the director's talking about.
Maybe his next movie, I watched Source Code, was actually okay as well. That also have similar issues where I'm like, oh, they're kind of stretching my patience, but it was okay.
The preview for that looked really boring.
Source Code.
Not so much boring, just bad.
It's interesting. It's a sci-fi. Like the thing makes it out as like it's like an action film. It's more of a sci-fi film.
Okay, well that'd be better. I like the kind of sci-fi element they were
angling with,
alluding to, but like
it's not brilliant, but it's worth the $10 entry or whatever.
So have the Mars 500 crew come out yet?
Yeah, they came out. And
they came out.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up.
But what I think's especially cool is it was like an international kind of committee of intranauts, I guess, wasn't it?
Yeah, it seemed very diverse crew.
There was like a Chinese guy.
It was completely organised by the Russians, though. Yeah, but
did they have to drink their own pee?
Yeah, and what are the oxygen concerns with the long-term
fairly loose.
trip?
It was pretty much a psychological study. I think everything other than... I think they had a ration of food, so they had to... at one point they realised, we've been eating too much and they had to start rationing. But other than that, it was fairly loose. Like, the actual spaceship was made of wood, and it was much more roomy than the spaceships of today. But I guess, obviously, that's assuming that one day when we send a special, they're probably going to be bigger than they are
in like
now.
20 years or something. But what? No, that thought's gone. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I had another question.
Speaking of the Russians, right, segueing into our next segment. Now, I almost played this last week, but because another podcast did this for their Halloween special that I didn't want to, like, rip them off. But I was so, like, oh, awesome, that I wanted to do it on this podcast.
Oh.
So, did you check this link out?
Yeah, I checked them all.
Oh, you listened to it?
No, I didn't listen to it, though. Wait, what are we looking at?
Okay, so these Russian scientists, right, tried to dig the deepest hole in the world.
Oh, I heard this on Radio National.
Yeah. To the centre of the Earth kind of thing. And they went to 12 kilometres under the ground before they hit, the limit. They just couldn't
drill to.
Yeah, work out how to do it anymore. But so they stuck a microphone down there, right? To record the sounds.
Shit.
And this is what they heard.
Now, I've got a clean copy of it now.
No.
And, I warn
This is the radio segment that's from.
this could scare you. Here's the email. Dear Art Bell, I just recently began listening to your radio show and could not believe it when you talked about the sounds from hell tonight. My uncle had told me this story a couple of years ago, and I didn't believe him. Like one of your listeners who discounted the story as nothing more than just a religious newspaper fabricated account. The story about the digging of the hole and the hearing of the sounds from hell is very real. It did occur in Siberia. My uncle collected videos and audio tapes and so forth on the paranormal, supernatural. He passed away fairly recently.
Oh,
But he would have loved your show. He let me listen to one of the audio tapes that he had on the sounds from hell in Siberia, and I copied it. He received his copy from a friend who worked at the BBC.
Oh, a friend of a friend of a friend. This sounds
It took
authentic.
me a while to find it tonight, but attached is that sound from my uncle's tapes.
Okay, dear listeners,
It's
be
not the
prepared for
greatest
something a
quality,
bit
but the
spooky.
sounds are there. I was very hesitant to send you this, as the sound bothers me to listen to. I'd suggest that if you do play it on the program, warn listeners in advance so they may have the option of turning the radio
I'd
off for
advise you
30
to-
seconds while it plays.
Yeah.
It has always haunted me. To those who discounted the Siberia sounds from Hell's story, it is true, and I, for one, wish it wasn't. Rick, listening from Chicago. And so I submit
Thanks,
now
Rick.
the cleaned, a better copy to you, and I warn you, what you are about to hear is very disturbing indeed.
Oh, that was a really scary sound. The microphone jack being
So,
pulled
yeah.
out. Yeah, I heard that a few years ago on Radio National, actually, on one of the, I think it's called Into the Night.
Yeah.
They have this amazing segment, I think it's called Into the Night, where they just mash up. It's essentially like it's like a radio documentary mashup where they take 3 or 4 different radio documentaries and intercut them together and create sort of these wild connections between this really disparate subjects. And this... I remember vividly, I was driving through Northbridge home from something, and this was on the radio, and although I don't believe in the supernatural, I don't believe in anything like that, it really unsettled me.
They're pretty
hearing that at
spooky
night.
sounds.
Yeah, but I looked up where it actually came from, and it was from one of those Boxing Day sales in like Target or something in the States where they recorded the people coming through the doors.
Oh, so it is actual bullshit.
Yeah, you know those
Yeah, I
where the
googled
doors
on
are,
Snopes
you know,
and they
they're-
say it's bullcrap.
So it isn't from a big hole. Did they actually dig a big hole?
I doubt it.
Oh, they definitely did dig a big hole, yeah.
Did they?
And so that sound was not from the big hole.
Apparently not, but how do we How do we know?
How do we know, man? Oh, it's a conspiracy. One way or the other, it's going to be a conspiracy.
But the guy on the radio, his dad had the tape, so...
Well, and he got them from a mate who got them from a friend who knew a guy who had once been to Siberia. Yeah, I think it's... I think it's a really great... It's Harry.
Sorry, listeners.
Just dismantling his microphone.
Finish now.
I think it's a great, one of those creepy urban legends. It's a great one. I think it's got all of those kind of trademark goodies that you look for, or it's somewhere kind of exotic and mysterious. So you got Siberia. There's a bit of military science operation gone wrong. So there's a potential for cover up.
Yeah.
Whenever anyone argues against it, you go, "Whoa, no, it really happened," and the government
or
someone's trying to conspire against it. It's got a bit of supernatural, unexplained, taps into all of our great fears,
like the
and then that little bit
of
the Russians, and everyone no one trusts the Russians, and science gone bad, and it's gone too far, and and when I listened to it, I think there was more information. I don't think I'm making this bit up, but they were talking about like plumes of smoke billowing from the hole that were in the shapes of things, and there was more information, more of that sort of hype.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Anyone else's thoughts?
But don't you think it's scary that we almost know more than space than what's actually underneath our own surface? Like that. I mean, that is a fact that we know so little about what goes on under the earth, other than like physicists trying to simulate it in like a computer.
What you mean in the actual geological mass?
Yeah.
Rather than we know
today. Even today, the 12 kilometers that they dug is still the deepest they've ever gone, and we don't know what's deeper than 12 kilometers under the earth. Like we can just we can try and simulate it, but we don't actually know. And 12 kilometers not that far. You could drive that to Fremantle, isn't it? So.
That's pretty far. That blows my mind that they've dug 12 kilometres down.
It's a long way down, but if you looked at it on a globe,
it'd be a blip, wouldn't it?
It wouldn't even be the paper that covered the edge of the globe.
Yeah,
it'd be like,
we've got planes that can fly around the Earth non-stop, but we don't even have a drill that can go 12 kilometres down, further than 12 kilometres down.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, one part of me kind of goes, well, the pressure and the geological crust and
And what, space is 100 kilometres up, so obviously we've been further than 100 kilometres up. And
and I mean, even the depths of deep sea research, we've gone sort of to the edge of them. Have we gone to the bottom of the Mariana Trench?
I don't think we have we?
I think we have. So, and we don't know much about what's going on down there.
I mean, we've been to
so much cool shit.
Yeah.
Down there.
And the exploring down there has really sort of opened up our definitions of what was required for life forms to exist. So, you've got things that are living down there at the edge of geothermal vents where the temperature is like 400 degrees Celsius, and they're living on mainly like what is it like? Is it sulfur or arsenic fumes or something? And there's no sunlight penetration, so there's no solar energy there. And so it's breaking all these rules that we had established about what life needs to exist by going down there. So for me to say, there's not going to be anything under 12 kilometers in the crust, well, maybe if we dig to 13, and holy shit, there's something. And I'm not saying holy shit, there's hell. There might be some little worm thing that.
No, but what they've been
a
finding,
silicon worm or something.
Like when they're doing environmental assessments for mine sites and that sort of thing, they never used to do anything about under the soil. But like in the last 10 years or so, they've been drilling boreholes down and looking at the diversity of like microscopic life forms under the crust, and they're finding like kind of kilometers under the soil. And they're finding all sorts of little like arthropods and tiny little things.
Really?
Yeah, you'd never expect to live down there. There's shit living down like miles under the soil.
Really?
Yeah. And because it's
never blowing my mind, I never knew that.
And because when they do mine site sort of environmental assessments, if they go into this area and they find an animal or like a
unique species,
that like is it's got a restricted range, and if you mine that bit of soil, you're going to kill that habitat. Then you won't be allowed to mine there. In theory, they probably will anyway. But Like, they've been digging these holes and they've been finding these creatures, and because they've never found them before, you know, they don't know their distribution, they don't know if that is the only hole where you'd ever find that little creature. Like, it's been causing kind of philosophical angst for some people, but then they go and dig the mine site.
Yeah, I mean, I bet the mining corporations are livid that they're now doing soil-based exploration for life forms, because it was probably bad enough when, you know, CSIRO or whatever would go through and scour the surface and find a tiny spider that they'd never found before and call off $1 billion, you know, multi-billion-dollar mine because there's a spider. Now they're like sifting through soil for almost microscopic organisms.
And
then I don't think they do it anymore. I think you just go.
There's like, you know, is it the colossal squid that we know exists, but no one's ever caught one? Like, we've found body parts that translate the scale that this is the biggest squid
and in the stomach of sperm whales.
Or
and suction marks on sperm
but
whales.
Apparently they can actually eat a sperm whale themselves, so it's like they can even Stevens
baby
sort of
sperm
situation.
I think because they find scars on sperm whales that are like with suction marks that are like factors bigger than the biggest ones we know of.
But we've never actually found them because they live so deep and sort of live. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, what was that other?
Too awesome.
What was there was another. Oh, what was it? You know, I was reading about the great white sharks, and apparently, I was reading this on the Wikipedia. I'm not sure if it's true, but apparently, scientists are still unsure as to how they mate.
Really?
That's not like some. I mean, it's a wild, amazing animal, but every kid in the world knows about the great white shark.
Yeah, so
it's not some bizarre, exotic animal that science doesn't know about. We've known about this shit for centuries. They don't know how they breed or mate.
You think it'd be a big prize for a marine biologist to be the first
get
one
on
to
top of that and figure it out.
And you'd think there'd be plenty of money around for because managing great white shark populations is probably a pretty big deal.
They don't know.
Big deal.
And it just blows my mind because also I'm a big fan of for those who don't know, listeners who don't know, like prehistoric life forms and dinosaurs especially and that sort of thing. I get really worked up about that sort of stuff, but scientists will find a claw, and from that they'll extrapolate.
What it looked like.
What it looked like, what it ate, where it lived, when it lived, what sort of behavior it exhibited and that sort of stuff.
How it mated.
Yeah. All of that from, a claw, a tooth, a femur, a bit of pelvis. And then they don't even fucking know how great whites breed. I say they. I don't mean to...
You know why that is, Campbell?
No.
Because these things that have gone extinct, they can make up whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, that's right. No one there to challenge it, yeah. Because I think the Megalodon, I think they've only found like a set of jaws or a set of teeth for these guys. These huge sharks, I think they grew to 15 meters long. And for scale, a great white's 6.
Man, did you see that in the Natural History Museum at New York?
I think I must have.
The big shark jaw?
I would have. I don't remember it though. Yeah. The Megalodon's huge.
Be like big as this table.
Yeah. And a blue whale, blue whale's 30 meters long. So it's like half as long as the biggest animal ever. So it's a huge shark. But, they've got all this, hypothesis about it, which is wonderful, but, we don't even know how modern sharks do a lot of what they do.
Well, the new TV series Terra Nova, right, is set in a certain, Cretaceous period, I don't know what they call them, of dinosaurs where only the, 26% of species they believe that existed at the time have been discovered, so that, basically the creators are free to make up the other 75%, whatever they want.
Oh, right.
So they just make up dinosaurs whenever they want to do it.
Well, that's pretty cool. That's a good excuse to have a lot of fun.
Yeah. I don't know how.
But there's still grass,
I don't know which.
right?
The thing is, I don't really follow it close enough to know which ones are the ones they made up and which ones are the real ones or not. But yeah.
Are there lots of feathered dinosaurs? Have they gone down that road?
No, but there is some debate. I remember there was some kind of moment where there was some kind of in-joke where obviously if you know your stuff about dinosaurs, you would have been like, oh, where they're like, oh, that dinosaur doesn't fly, that we would have expected, but I can't remember what it was about.
Like pterodactyl.
You probably would have known, but...
Maybe.
What is your favourite dinosaur, Harry? Campbell.
Ankylosaurus.
Ankylosaurus.
Shit, what's that one? Never heard.
He's got a bommyknocker, four-legged dinosaur, armored plates on his back, and a bommyknocker tail.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So there are a whole range of armor-plated dinosaurs like that. Yeah, probably my favorite. I just think they're really amazing looking, and I don't know, something about them. Very cool. Very cool. That's my favorite.
Moving on.
Just back to sharks.
Yeah.
Because I think it's topical. Like, one of the things, like, speaking that we don't know much about, and one of the things, like, they're having trouble with at the moment is, like, they don't know how many sharks, like, what the population of great whites is in the ocean. And, like, they're an endangered species because we thought we were killing them off and there weren't enough of them out there. And, like, they've been protected species for about 20 years and they think the population is increasing. And that's why, like, there's more shark attacks these days. Well, in the last 6 months, there's more shark attacks. But, like, no one actually knows how to count the shark population in the ocean. And so, like, there's this argument now that, like, the shark population has grown, so we should start culling them again because they're becoming a threat. But
we don't have the data to really measure. It's just someone's gut feeling.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, in the last 6 months there's been heaps of shark attacks.
That means there's more sharks.
Yeah.
Do, like, sharks generate heat?
Yep.
So if you had, like, an infrared sensor that could detect underwater, you could have a plane that could fly over and detect sharks out of the rest of the water?
No.
I don't think they'd emit that much.
No, I mean, we might not have it now, but could we have that in the future?
I doubt it.
Do great white sharks have a migratory pattern? Do they migrate? Because you get them here, you get them, South Africa.
South Africa, yeah.
Where is it? Like Cape Town's like the huge shark.
Yeah, I don't know if they migrate in between back and forth. They must.
Or are they kind of isolated populations?
Do we have Australian
They must
sharks?
follow the sharks up. I mean, the whales up north, you'd think, wouldn't they? Do you get sharks up north, great whites?
No. Well, I don't know. Maybe you do, but you only ever hear about crocodile attacks up north.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
but I know
that
there is shark versus crocodile fights been observed, you know.
We don't know enough about great white biology to be discussing it on this show.
Look, we're not experts on anything.
But we're going to keep our audience updated when we learn something.
We're going to keep you uninformed as to our findings. Well, we have had quite a few shark updates.
Yeah, we live in Perth. It's like the shark attack capital of the world, you know.
Yeah.
Outside of probably, is it Reunion Island and Mauritius? They have the big sharks there.
Oh, really?
Off the coast of South Africa. But
I mean, sharks is just one of those things that kids love to talk about, and because we're just big.
Were you a big Jaws fan?
Yeah, huge.
I missed that whole Jaws.
Huge Jaws fan.
Alex was full into Jaws,
and then gave me a great fear of the ocean.
Yeah.
Because of it. But it was that love-hate, it was that love-hate. Look, they're just about one of the most terrifying animals.
They just look
ever.
so scary.
They are. I mean, it's death personified. And if you were to ever encounter one, you're out of your comfort zone. Like,
do you think you would have the composure to like
punch one in the nose?
No,
I don't know.
Freeze in fear.
I think I would. I think it would be like. I think it would be like a porthole to hell opening up right in front of me. Yeah. Like, it would be just as shocking as the devil appearing in front of me.
So you wonder that about in your dreams. Obviously, most people have nightmares where you freeze and you can't do anything. Is that our real reaction in real life? But have you guys ever been in a life-altering situation where you just froze, or you're able to maybe in your car you're able to swerve around something, or?
No, I always do stuff in my dream where you can't control it. You're like, fuck.
So you think that's what our action would be in that situation in real life?
In situations like that, in my dreams, what I tend to find happens is I respond, but my response is ineffective.
Okay, yeah.
So I will,
you'll punch a shark, but he'll still eat you.
Well, I'll punch a shark, but my punches do nothing. Or, my arms are suddenly like spinach, but I'll be trying to punch. That's sort of that my resistance is futile, kind of thing. But I imagine if a shark actually attacked me, I don't know. I would imagine it's just about the worst. It's just about my greatest fear.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck that. Sorry, Harry just showed me a scary picture of a shark.
You really should put these links in the show notes, otherwise people don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, there's just scary pictures of sharks. You can do a Google image search.
Just search great white sharks. Google
Great white shark.
They're scary. You know what's really scary? Like the sea. Like take the shark out. Just the sea. Like looking down at the sea when you can't like see.
But you know how sharks attack as well? They come up from below, generally, typically, in deep waters. And that's what they're built for. They do these devastating first attacks. So they'll swim deep below you, and they'll look up, and then they'll launch themselves vertically as fast as they can.
And they can go pretty
And they
fast.
can go really fast. And they just open their mouth, which is just like a huge bear trap. And then they just snap. Going at like, I don't even know what sort of speeds they're going at.
And they have no fear. Like, if we were trying to bite stuff, we're always careful because our teeth don't regenerate, but theirs do. So,
Constantly.
you know, I'm always careful when biting something like, you know, recklessly. But, you know, sharks don't have to worry about that because they just get more teeth if they break one.
Oh, they just get more teeth all the time.
Anyway, so moving on from sharks.
Well, last subject in this kind of the sort of science hour / all medics coming section. Robots, right? This is a video this is apparently the most humanoid robot we've got so far. This is a video, if you guys haven't watched it.
I think robots suck.
Okay, we had the Do Robots Suck conversation about a month ago on this show. Yeah. And I think James asked if we were impressed by robots, and I said how much I hated robotics.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Do you remember I was talking about those Honda dancing robots?
Yeah,
and things?
yeah.
And I just said I just hate those things.
This is probably in the lost episode.
And then you showed me one of those robots. I think it's by this company. It was a 4-legged one. And it's got these sort of spider legs, and it walks around. And it looks really dirty. It looks like some hillbillies made it in the back of its shed.
Oh, yes.
And it almost looks like it's walking through a swamp or something. And this dude comes up and kicks the shit out of it as hard as he can. And the thing doesn't fall over or responds.
Yeah.
And I had seen that video before, and I'd forgotten about it. And it sort of made me do a 180, kind of saying, well, look, I still think those Honda robotics suck. But
do an exercise.
Yeah, well, these other ones are awesome. So this was a 4-legged one. I think it's the same guys. Is it the same guys?
I don't know.
But these guys have made
Boston
like a bipedal one.
Yeah.
It looks like the same sort of thing. It's this kind of jerky, spasmodic, kind of crazy-looking robot, but it's humanoid-shaped with a red flashlight on its head instead of a head.
Do you guys see us in our lifetimes, like, say, maybe when we retire and we're in a nursing home, do you think we'll be, say, served by robots? Do you think we see that? Like, they will help us go to the toilet?
No.
No. I think
assuming we live to, like, retirement age, like 80 or something.
I think it'll always be cheaper and more efficient to use people.
Yeah, imagine the amount of, like, the amount of robotics that goes into, like, all the gyroscopes and the amount of...
Yeah, I think... I mean, looking at that robot that was in the video, it just makes me think of Terminator, doesn't it? I mean, it looks like the Terminator robot, kind of early days.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. I can't imagine, like, working in that lab, like, with that robot there. I'd be a bit scared.
A bit freaked out. Did you see the bit where he kicked it? He kicks this robot as well.
Like,
That's the tester.
Yeah.
he better stop.
Yeah, to react to
Like, one day that robot's going to come and give him a kick back. And he's
Well, yeah. You know, someone else will program it while that dude's out of the office. Program it to kick him back. Yeah. And he'll go in and they'll go, all right, Dave, give him a kick, see how it goes. And it'll kick him back and scare the crap
I'm talking about when it starts thinking for itself. And it's like,
I only had a red flashlight for a head.
you,
Once they start
as long
putting
as you
a head
put
on.
3
Well,
laws.
you connect into the internet.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think it's possible to hard code the 3 laws of robotics?
Yeah, I think
Isaac
so.
Asimov's 3 laws.
I think so. I think within
I've watched
reason.
iRobot, and I think it's probably fraught with danger.
Yeah, I think but also, you know, how far can a computer program or compute ahead? Do you know what I mean? Like, does that mean that if it can't compute all of the scenarios for cutting down that tree, that it can't go ahead with that action? Or can it compute as much as it can compute and kind of go, all right, well, 99% sure this tree, no one's going to walk under this tree while I'm cutting it down, and he cuts it down.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Does that question?
Yeah, no,
Does it
no,
take
makes
into
sense to me.
consideration the dangers of what
Yeah.
it's trying to do?
Well, you can't ever be 100% sure of all. You can't
No.
compute all situations in
No. So,
actual world.
yeah, so what margin of error do we allow? Essentially is what we'd then be asking.
You'd want to be up in the 99%.
99 percentile, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Sorry, Harry's got a whole bunch of photos of sharks on his iPad.
The more you look
He's
at them,
freaking out.
actually, the more I look at them, the less scary they become.
Fuck
Yeah, that's because you're not in the ocean with one.
No, I mean, in the ocean, honestly.
Get
If
that
there's a
one.
shark on land, I'll take it on because sharks are crap on land.
I'll put my hand up. I take on a shark on land as
Yeah.
well. As much as I'm scared of them.
Yeah, because that photo is taken from the perspective of a boat where you're sitting safely and it's just jumping out of the water.
See,
What? What do you
yeah,
mean?
I don't find that very scary.
It's
I
no
find
different to a whale
What?
jumping out of the water, you know?
What are you guys
No, I'd be more
talking
scared of a whale
about?
because they're bigger and they could fall on the boat and flip you out.
I'm with James. I'm more scared of like that, where the shark's in the water with its mouth closed, just like looking menacing.
Have you seen, I don't know if they do it at Adventure World, no, not Adventure World, but Aqua, is that what they call it now?
Adventure World or
Aquarium in Western Australia.
Adventure World.
But there's certain aquariums around the world where they've put a glass tube in and you can swim down to the tube so you're the eye level of the sharks in the aquarium and they can come up and
Try and eat you.
Yeah.
Well, there was that water slide.
Oh man,
What water
Don't you
slide?
remember that water slide? So what you did, I don't want to stereotype, but I think it must have been in Dubai.
it wasn't Dubai.
It was in Dubai? Okay. I'm glad you know what I'm talking about, because for a second I thought I was dreaming or making this up.
It was a
Okay,
true story.
from my memory, there's a giant pyramid, right? There's a big pyramid, and you hop inside the pyramid, and there's a water slide, right? And you go down this water slide, and what happens is at one point, so you're up high, and then as you reach, I guess, surface level, the water slide actually intersects with an aquarium.
Yeah.
And then you go down, and then the water slide slices through the aquarium, and then you're underwater, but you're still going
really?
through.
And
but
it's like
there's
a glass tube.
Yeah, there's glass tube.
Oh my
but there's
God.
like sharks and great
Yeah.
whites and shit in there, right?
Yeah.
And one of them jumped into the fucking tube and got stuck and died. Now, I don't know if it went after someone. I don't even want to know.
How did it get in the tube?
Yeah, you'd think there'd be some safety measures, but I think it was open. I think most of the way down, it's
and then
open.
it's open and
then it closes in the
going-
last like 3 meters or something. But some shark kept seeing day after day
Food
these like
going down the
big
tube.
fat juicy slices of meat going down, pink and yum, and then sliding past him. What a cock tease! You're asking for trouble. Who cock teases a great white shark?
You know what? What if I jump in? See
Yeah, what if I
happens?
try it? And I reckon he would have
probably
calculated
water
the
in there.
trajectory.
Yeah.
And fucking went up. So, I don't know if they shut it down or...
No, I saw it on like Getaway or something. Yep.
If I find it, I'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
While I'm listening to it.
Do they have someone in a bikini going down the slide?
I mean, it reminds me of...
I think it
Getaway?
was.
Yeah.
Our family had a dog, a golden retriever, and it was a pedigree dog. And so some people asked us to breed, asked our male dog to go to their female dog's house to breed because our dog was pedigree. And he had grown up in a very asexual world, so he just didn't know what to do, So what happened was he stayed around there for a couple of weeks, and their golden retriever did not get impregnated. But so he came back home, but then the 2 days after our dog had come back home, they found the neighbour's dog in their backyard with a broken leg, right? And they were like, what the hell happened? He's obviously jumped over the fence and broken his leg. But not only that, they found out that a few weeks later that their dog was pregnant. And eventually when the pups came out, it turned out it was not our dog that impregnated it, but the dog over next door had jumped over the 6 foot tall fence, broken its leg, had its way with their dog, and impregnated it. It was that desperate to get a bit.
Get a bit. Oh, that's awesome.
Now, moving on to the gross news.
I didn't know that was a segment.
Well, it is now.
I think we're going to make up new segments every week. So
Okay.
now we were talking last week about, or it was maybe the week before, we were talking about what if you were ever in a situation where you had to cut up a person.
Mm.
So in follow up on that, I found this interview via Bass Magazine with the this guy who's a cannibal, right? But by various loopholes in the law, he hasn't been convicted for it. So he's out in public, and he's a very established author. And they interviewed him about him eating someone. And basically, the thing I got, it's a pretty gross article because it was pretty much sexually orientated, this eating. It's more derived rather than actually being hungry or anything like that.
It was 100% sexually motivated.
Did he just eat the boobs or something?
I read that article.
Yeah.
It made me feel pretty ill. I actually had to skip over, I was reading and I had to skip a couple of paragraphs. I was just like, I can't.
Is it in Vice magazine?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because basically he, as soon as he killed the woman, he regretted it because it's like, because
he'd started becoming friends with her.
Yeah. And he was like, once he had killed her, it wasn't like, the meat wasn't as appealing because once you're dead, she's not a friend anymore. She's just a corpse. But he always said about, they asked him the obvious question, which is the question I would have, is like, how do you prepare human meat?
I think I skipped that bit.
But he always just ate it raw, I guess because it's a sexual thing. But if you guys had to eat human meat to survive,
I'd cook
would you cook it? Would you try and cook it? Or
No, but if you had to eat it to survive, you'd cook it. But if you had to eat it because you were interested, you wanted to eat it, surely you'd go sashimi. You wanted like the full flavor,
raw,
Yeah, like if you really appreciate a beautiful fresh bit of tuna, you pull it out of the ocean, you cut it up, and you eat it raw.
I wouldn't appreciate human meat because I don't eat raw other mammal meat. So I wouldn't know the difference. Like he was talking about how human meat's so tasty, but he's obviously eaten raw other mammal meat to know the difference.
I found that incredibly disturbing to read because he was talking and just so as a Japanese dude, he went and lived in France.
Yeah.
And then he because they were like, how did this come about? And he was like, oh, look, I lived in Japan, then I moved to France, and look, I tried to kill about 100 prostitutes, he said. And he said, what was he saying? He'd say whenever they'd wash themselves in the bidet after having sex with him,
he'd pull out his gun.
He'd pull out his gun and hold it to their back without them knowing. And he'd never have the gumption to actually pull the trigger.
Yeah.
And he said he did this to about 100 women.
Yeah.
And
then he actually made a female friend.
And then he actually made a friend. So I assume he was a pretty weird dude.
Yeah, yeah.
Like pretty fucked up. But then he actually made a friend with someone who was at his uni. And she was like a blonde European. And he developed a bit of a friendship, and they hung out a couple of times. And then she had dinner at his house. And then what happened? He got like food poisoning or some weird shit. Anyway, he ends up shooting her.
Yeah. I think the fact that he trusted her more meant he felt comfortable killing her because he trusted her or something like that.
I mean, but then, because... And anyway, and he ate her and then blah, blah, blah. And it's just horrible. But then he pleaded insanity and they were just like, oh, well, he was insane.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he got extradited back to Japan, and Japan tried to try him. Tried to put him to trial.
Yeah, yeah.
But then the French government wouldn't hand over the necessary legal work for that to happen, so he couldn't be tried in Japan either. So now he's just like a famous author in Japan, publishing books about his fetishes by the looks of it.
Yeah,
like he does drawings of famous women and like.
I don't know whether I haven't seen his books, but I wonder if he describes how he would eat these women that he draws or something.
Maybe, but and in this interview, and obviously in lots of interviews and articles that he's written, he describes how he still has this huge urge to continue eating people.
Because he feels like the one he got convicted of, that was like the pinnacle of his life, and he wanted to be put to the death penalty so that was it. Like he had reached the pinnacle, he had tasted the meat of his friend, and he'd reached the pinnacle of life, but now it's still downhill because now he's under constant scrutiny, so he would have trouble killing someone else because he's always under scrutiny. And but he would kind of hope that if he did kill someone again and eat them, he would get the death penalty so that that would be the pinnacle of his life, So he goes out on high of having
Surely
eaten
he could
someone.
kill himself if he really wanted to.
Yeah, sure.
And he obviously and he was talking about how, he made mistakes with his first kill, and he would do it also differently with his second kill, but he's obviously, he not sure if he's going to do it because he's constantly under watch.
But he just doesn't, from that interview, he just does not sound in the least bit redemptive.
No.
Or,
he's sort of
remorseful.
like, that's just who I am,
Yeah. He's like, some people are gay. I'm a cannibal.
Yeah.
I'm a murderous cannibal.
Hmm.
Don't hate me for it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, whoa,
Well, he doesn't mind you hating him, but he's just like,
sorry.
just accept me for who I am.
Yeah. But it's like, whoa, no, like there are some things we can't have knocking about. I guess some people kind of go, we can't have gay people knocking around because they're destroying our society, the fabric of our society. But no, I think murderous cannibals are a greater threat to destroying the moral fibre of our society. Anyway, was this all leading to a question, or are we just going to have a cannibal discussion?
Oh, this is just a cannibal discussion, just following up on what we were talking about before. But he also has some hot tips. Like, he thought... he thought the best meat would be the buttocks, right?
Mm.
But he's like, he kept digging, he went through fat, because fat goes there. You naturally store fat in your buttocks because that's where you sit and I guess cushion your body.
But also,
so even though she was a lean, hot girl, she still had fat in her buttocks, so he had to dig right down. So he's like, you better, the best meat to access is from the thigh or the neck.
But if you're in a survival situation, isn't fat good?
Probably, yeah.
I mean, fat's probably what you want. So you want the butt.
But if, for kind of deliciousness, also, the fatty meat's probably the best, isn't it? You get your Wagyu beef with your...
Yeah.
That's marbling, though. That's not just like a slab of fat.
Okay. So maybe the fat's just differentiated from the meat.
Yeah.
Or like a rind of bacon.
Yeah.
Now, in Australia, we have a fairly... our biggest sort of cannibal history is from Tasmania, where they had some of the biggest convict camps, and people just escape there. And it's one of the most remote places on earth. It's not as remote as Perth, but to get to Melbourne, it's so hard to get there from the camps. And they had these people that infamously, used to eat each other to survive.
Did you watch that film?
That's what I was going to say. Did you see the film?
No. What film was it?
Well, there's an Australian film telling a story about these Tasmanian convicts that ate each other, and
what's it called?
I've been meaning to see it. Maybe it's Van Diemen's Land.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
No, I haven't. I have seen that.
But I mean to see it. I know it may have probably went to the Luna, but I missed it. But I would have liked to see it because it was meant to be quite a good, well-made film. But
no, I didn't.
My parents went to Tasmania and they hiked over Tasmania, right? And the guide told them the story as that this is the same route that these cannibals took as they were hiking from the convict camp to Hobart to get a boat to Melbourne, and they just, ghosted them out because they were hiking in the middle of this, rainforest where obviously Tasmanian tigers have been lost for centuries, but,
Wow.
Anyway.
Did Tasmanian tigers ever eat people?
No,
I think they ate sheep and stuff.
But even that's contested.
I think it's like my fear of foxes,
I think it's pretty ungrounded. Yeah. I think it's pretty colonial, freak out story.
Have you seen a picture of picture or list, a drawing of the Tasmanian tigers baring their teeth? They have really wide jaws.
Yeah, they can hinge their jaws. Yeah. I think they're wider than any other mammal. Oh, they're not a mammal. Sorry. Well, they are a mammal. A marsupial mammal. Sorry. But yeah, they've got the widest jaw gape. I don't know what you call it, but and I think their bite strength was quite incredible as well. Not as good as a Tasmanian. I think the Tasmanian devil's got the strongest bite of anything.
Yeah,
which is just remarkable. But
the strongest bite per unit mass.
Yeah, that sort of thing. But the Tasmanian tiger, I don't think they even now researchers are suggesting that they didn't really even eat sheep. That they potentially weren't even capable of bringing down a sheep.
Yeah.
Even though their size and whatnot, they were they probably hunted these other things and
just Tasmanian devils.
Because what were they?
Yeah, maybe
before sheep came, what would they have eaten? Did they even have kangaroos in Tasmania? Can they have any big mammals to attack?
They must have had kangaroos.
I don't think they had kangaroos. I mean, there would have been all sorts of other little marsupial things that they were probably hunting. I doubt there was nothing sheep comparable there.
Yeah.
Platypus.
What?
Probably adults of platypus.
Maybe.
Moving on to our topic of the week.
Oh.
Oh, didn't know we had a topic of the week.
It is our
Sure it's not
10-year reunion coming
Oh,
up in 2
10-year
weeks.
reunion.
10-year reunion from high school.
From high school. And there's obviously there's going to be now Harry's lady friend is the chief of this event
By default.
by default.
His wife.
Wife. Sorry, I wanted to forget that. There's obviously going to be a music playlist playing. So I was thinking we could discuss on air what some of our suggestions for this music playlist. Like, what were the essential tracks from, our time period there? Maybe just last year, or does that count? Or the last 2 years?
I think the 5 years.
Full 5 years.
Full 5 years.
Yeah,
And probably even the year before and after. So it's probably like stretching it to 7.
So
I saw that you put one song in particular that comes into my head at least once a week. I'm quite embarrassed to say.
So what is this?
Na 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 na.
The suggestion?
No, it's not. No.
It's the thong song.
It's the motherfucking thong song.
Yes.
This song gets in my head at least once a week. I'm not even kidding. Where I find myself humming it or singing it, just driving around, walking, doing some work.
I think it's almost the quintessential song. It wasn't the big song in our year was the Proclaimers song. I don't know why, but that was obviously retro at that point.
But I think we listened to a lot of old music as well.
Yeah. But I remember the thong song being the only new song that is, when I hear that song now and it comes on the radio, I'm like right back to like year 11, year 12, that period there of my life.
What about the motherfucking DRE?
Well, that as well, but that's an older song.
No, it's 2001.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. So what song's that?
Dr. Dre.
Yeah, but Dr. Dre is from he spans a whole...
Yeah, but
That's
that
a
was
couple of decades.
Well, the album was called 2001. I'm pretty sure it came out in 2001.
Oh.
I remember a bunch of songs. So the thong song was my number one recommendation. Obviously, the Proclaimers, I'll Walk 500 Miles. I remember that because that just went off whenever we played it.
Yeah.
And the thong song is the song that if I was, there's one of my scripts I'm writing. There's
Is there a period
there's
flashback?
a flashback, to that period, and that's the, if I don't know if I would ever get the rights for it, but if I had the rights to that song,
Well, you'd want to spend at least half your budget
to say
on
that period because it's hard. I guess it's 10 years since our sort of decade where we were the kids, and we really developed? Is that period actually developed its own identity compared to obviously the 70s had all this stuff and the 80s had all this stuff and the 60s had all this stuff. Have we really defined that period?
I think we bombed out. I think we
No. I think that's one of those things that becomes clearer as time goes on.
Yeah.
I think you hear a lot less scratching in music these days, don't you?
Yeah.
Scratching was a big thing. Every song was just throwing scratching into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was early kind of 90s, Go Ninja, Vanilla Ice, go Ninja, go Ninja,
sure,
go Ninja, go Ninja, go waka waka.
Yeah, rap interludes. That was a big thing in the 90s.
But rap interludes are still big.
That's true.
Surprising they've lasted so long.
Yeah, you'd think that would...
They
I remember when I first introduced your group, obviously I've known Harry for ages, but when I introduced your group,
Coolio.
I think the first thing we did outside of school, we went to Fred's house and listened to Propeller Heads on his computer that he had downloaded from Napster.
Yeah.
Propeller Heads was big.
Shit.
And we played the pool around the table.
Pool, and listening to Propeller Heads and Beastie Boys.
And played Driver.
And Driver, yeah. And he probably had custom soundtracks as well, so we probably played Propeller Heads and Beastie as well, playing Driver as well, I think. So.
Yeah, well, that was one of the big things about Driver was that you could have playlists within it. That blew my mind.
Yeah.
For your radio on the car.
So what else was big? I mean, I don't know.
Blink-182 was really big.
The Aliyah song?
Oh, that Aliyah song. That was
the one
awesome.
from the Romeo's Model. I remember we went to a group to watch that movie, and we were so disappointed because apparently it was had the same choreographers as The Matrix, and we were all pumped to see it. And then we came out, went to the Hoyts in the city, and we were so disappointed with the movie, but it had the Aliyah music and that was a theme song. And I remember all the girls just loved Aliyah at that time.
That was
he probably only had like
big.
2 songs at the time, but
What about Moulin Rouge?
yeah, Moulin Rouge.
The soundtrack for that. I mean, what was that song?
I remember was that during the tea that we went and saw that? Was that year 11 we went and saw that? I can't remember.
I think it was year 12 that we saw that. Wasn't it year 12 it came out? 2001?
Obviously, I don't know about you, Harry. I don't think me and Harry, I think, were out of it, but you, and maybe you can talk about this, Nick, next week when we have the Canadian special. But you were involved with the Rock of Stedford, which had it's almost its own culture.
Yeah.
Segregated from the rest of the school.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. Yeah. It's a bit of a club.
Yeah, so there
Club
was like
rock.
Moulin Rouge, and they had that song, the remake of that song. What was it called? Lady Marmalade.
Lady Marmalade. Yeah. Who was in that? There was Maya, Little Kim, Missy Elliott, Christina Aguilera, and there was someone else. Wasn't there?
I don't know. That's all the people I recognize.
But that was a bit of like almost like a Charlie's Angels, Independent Woman. That was huge.
Was it? Yeah, I remember Harry was full into Charlie. Not Destiny's Child.
Oh, Destiny's Child. Yeah, sorry, I say Charlie's Angels, but that song was massive.
Yeah. Destiny's Child was like, at the time I sat there and said, hey, this stuff will be historic for that time, because it was so different to all the music then. It wasn't just some sort of cliche crap like from Britney Spears. It was like, I'm not saying I'm probably like Toxic by Britney Spears. I remember that being big.
I think that was out of high school though, wasn't it?
Was that out of high school?
I think that came out of high school.
Yeah. I know out of high school, Tenacious D, first year of high school, Tenacious D was big.
Yeah.
But that was out of high school.
That was out of high school. I mean, we used to listen to a lot of Front a lot.
Yeah, or at least that was the peak of...
pretty specific to
that was
us,
incredibly specific. Yeah. I'm not saying that was for everyone.
But we would have been listening at graduating time. If we it was big at Levers, but we would have got into it.
Yeah, it would have
at
been
the
year
end of
12 at least.
Yeah.
All through year 12. Because it was a long time.
I think it was just as we were Levers was like...
Probably
we
the
just
peak.
sort of got into it, and then we like took a CD to Levers, and then it was like...
It was all on.
It was
on like Donkey Kong.
mcfrontalot.com.
MC Front a lot.
So the Beastie Boys, did they actually have a new album then, or we were just revisiting their old stuff?
No. It was Intergalactic came out when... is that called the album's called?
Yeah. Oh, is it?
I don't think it was it? Was it called Intergalactic? But that album came out in maybe year 10, and that wasn't that their first album for a while?
Yeah.
I think they sort of taken a hiatus for a while. I can't even remember.
Yeah, it was a while.
And that came with Intergalactic, which just like was huge. That song.
Well, Tom Jones was all about the Beastie Boys. He got everyone into the Beastie Boys before that.
That's true.
So what was it? The Bloodhound Gang, they do it animals, do it like animals, like the Discovery Channel. I can't remember what that was pretty big at the time.
Bloodhound Gang, yep.
What about Cake?
The thing is,
Cake.
I haven't reset my iTunes players from back then. I think I have got the same iTunes players from the same time. I've kept it going.
Shit.
So I wonder if I have the same place from like because I know we had made specific players for the After Ball in year 12. I wonder if I bet you I have the same playlist.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you bring it up on?
Get that shit.
I'll have to see if my other computer's
That's
online.
one thing I really wish I had. Like,
There's all the music from back then.
no, just generally like a playlist or something. A history of all the playlists that I've been listening to, so I can go back. Oh, what was I listening to in 2007? And just look at that and like, because that like in 50 years' time, I'll be going. That'll really bring you back, like.
Or in
because
a
music's
10-year
one
reunion.
of those. Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's
Music's
a
one of
trigger.
those things that brings back like so many memories and like.
Yeah.
I know we had it when we went to Canberra. I brought like one burnt CD, and I think Brett bought a bunch of burnt CDs, and that was the only music we listened to the whole time. And he was fully into that. Staying Alive, was it Staying Alive remix? Although I remember that being big at Swanbourne before I came.
Staying Alive. Right?
From that mixtape, burnt CD, I remember Coolio, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, well my list was obviously a bit older than everyone else's. I had this unique.
I remember contributing a bit of Daft Punk.
Oh, Daft Punk just became big then. Yes.
Yeah, because they're...
One more time.
Yeah, that's right.
That was big.
But
they weren't really big in high school though. I only really got into
that
it.
One More Time was, and I know people hated it. Like I remember that CD. Did you guys get that CD that they gave out? One More Time was the most hated song or something like that in that year.
Oh, really?
Man, I love that song.
I mean, that whole album is amazing.
No, but that's right.
I think
One
that's
More
like the
Time was a
best
big
Daft
deal.
Punk
Oh yeah,
album. Yeah.
like just every song.
Far
is just
out.
amazing.
Yeah. Every song is incredible.
But this is, a real time machine going back to the period. And obviously, we were all born in 1984. For anyone who's listening, that's our reference. So if you were born in 94, you might have some idea of what we're talking about.
What else was big in high school though? Like not just stuff that was cool. What was big when we were in high school? Like,
What do you mean?
I don't know.
What about those ball-bearing necklaces that people used to
Blue,
wear?
blah, 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 blah.
Blue, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I remember
That's going
Blue.
on.
What about the Crazy Frog?
No, that was after high school. Wasn't it?
Was that?
Nah, I reckon that was in high school.
I think
Crazy
Blue
Frog.
was the crazy frog of high school. Right?
What about Barbie Girl? No, that was
Yeah,
primary school.
Barbie Girl.
No,
No.
I think that was primary school.
Really?
Or was it like year 8?
Well, definitely some Aqua.
Yeah. Surely we can go on a Wikipedia and check like #1 songs
No, that'd be
in
too easy.
Australia. Oh, I'm just curious as well because we're going to fill in. There's going to be things that we're just going to have totally forgotten about.
I wish you actually just use iTunes to search your playlist, because I've got a bunch of random stuff that I possibly deleted the.
I mean, outside of high school, just I think in the general kind of general media, fell in love with that Massive Attack song "Angel."
Oh yes, I remember you.
Like that was just
Yeah,
about in
you were
every
big
SB.
into it.
I mean, I'm a huge Massive Attack fan, so I mean,
Would you say you were massive?
I was a massive Attack fan.
So I have a lot of really old balls from maybe I see. Maybe my only plays go back to 2001. My 21st, which was 2003.
Oh no, really?
I probably actually still have the CDs from that period. I don't know if they would actually work in the CD players that I have.
J-Lo, Jennifer Lopez. 2001.
Oh man, Jenny from the Block.
Yep. No, just J-Lo. That was the song.
What? What's the song? Just J-Lo.
It was called J-Lo. It must have been one of their first songs.
Just J-Lo. I'm still Jenny from the Block. Used to have a little, now I got a lot. No matter where I go, I know
I remember
where I came
what
from.
was that? Annabelle was.
Afran
full-
used to
Afran was
love
She
J-Lo.
reckoned she was Jenny from the Block.
Oh,
yeah, I
man.
have to do more research.
Regurgitator. You remember when Regurgitator came out?
Ah, yes, Regurgitator with
And
Klein.
Spiderbait? Yeah,
Spiderbait,
hey.
that was early high school Spiderbait.
That went off, though.
Spiderbait were incredible.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, obviously Harry had the cool CD because he had the Smashing Pumpkins. He had Presidents of the United States of America.
Oh, the presidents.
Spiderbait, Eskimo Joe sweater. I remember that being the
Eskimo
hottest
Joe.
single.
What about Beaver Loop?
Beaver Loop, yes. I remember
was
being hot into Beaver Loop.
Yeah, I used to love Beaver Loop.
I
You're right, man.
have all of their albums.
Wow.
And it was a Massive Attack was your biggest regret not going to as a
It was,
live
but
concert.
last year I went and saw them when they came back.
Did
They
it make
come
up
to
for
Perth.
it?
Yeah, they were playing in Kings Park. It was one of the best concerts I've ever been to. I was concerned because their latest album, I mean, that was my concern in high school as well. I was like, how are they going to do this live? It's such a studio album. And I was like, oh, look, I'll go when they come next. All right, so this was probably like 1998. I was like, oh, I'll go when they come next. So finally, 2010, they come back to Australia. And I go, okay, cool, I'll go see them. But I had that same concern. I was thinking, how are they going to do this album? It's such a studio album. But it was just fucking awesome. And their performance was incredible. And like the stage that they had set up was just amazing. The whole thing. It was so political as well. The whole thing was so political and so intense and like, yeah, raw and awesome and fat and yeah.
Yeah, I went and watched Air.
Oh, yeah?
I didn't go pay for it, but I just sat outside in Kings Park.
Yeah.
And that was really cool. Like,
Yeah? Because that's
Had-
another band where you sort of go,
yeah, you're like,
what
how
are they
the
going
fuck
to
are
do?
they going to do that?
Yeah, yeah.
No, but it was really cool. Like, they had lighting effects and like,
Yeah. Because there are some
It's just
bands
really
where you go, oh, okay, this is like a live band and they've made a studio album.
Yeah.
And there are some bands where you go, oh, well, this is a studio band, and they might have to go on tour. And it's less exciting, but Massive Attack.
No, I think there's an opportunity there to like do something completely unique in the live show, and that's what you've got to do. You know, you have to.
Yeah.
What's the 500 Miles song? Extra. Is it called 500 Miles? Is it On My Way? Sure. Or is it I'm Gonna Be?
It's called 500 Miles.
Yeah, I thought it was 500 Miles. Now that's quite a hippie club song as well, isn't it?
Oh man,
that gets all the baby boomers out on the floor, crying and screaming. So has anyone pulled up a Wikipedia article?
I have.
I don't have a
it's
computer.
Full of shit that I don't understand.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Music in 2001. Daft Punk Discovery.
Was it Jurassic 5? That was
first
after, year of high school, probably.
First year uni.
Darren Haynes. Bonnie Prince Billy was in that. Sepultura. Yeah.
The Gorillas.
Gorillas. What was that? Hit though. KRS-One.
Rammstein.
Oh,
I was a big Rammstein fan.
Really?
Rammstein.
I was.
No.
Can you believe it? Yeah.
You and Jonathan
No,
Gimlet?
Cameron
Everyone
Brewster.
was fucking into Rammstein.
Okay.
Rammstein.
I remember when I got to Perth Mod and Jonathan Gimlet was always like, Rammstein's the greatest thing. No, this is Shaggy. It wasn't me.
Oh, was that really? Oh,
I
man.
got that. We're going to put that in the playlist.
Yeah.
I've already put it in.
Shaggy, it wasn't me.
I remember that being huge.
Man, that was massive.
Moby.
Oh, Moby Play.
Yeah,
that album.
That album was big.
Yeah, that was huge.
Was Run DMC big in high school?
We were full into Run DMC.
Yeah, we were.
But I don't think it was a new album. I don't think there was any new tracks.
Yeah, we just got into
apparently
it.
there is here Run DMC.
I think it was the older stuff we were all into. Though.
Crown Royale.
Yeah, all the Destiny Childs like Jumpin'.
Yeah, Destiny's Child would be.
Oh, man.
But is it tracks that were big during our tenure, or was it tracks that were produced and distributed while we were in high school, or just things that were massive?
I think it's things that were big in our group. Well, in our year group.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we always had our own group. We were very way more diverse. Like, obviously, I think the general populace of AU were full into like, Destiny's Child and Thong Song and Alaya. You know, I think our group specifically brought into the culture like Run DMC, Propeller Heads, Public Enemy. Were we into that by then?
Yeah.
Some of that stuff we've been talking about, I can't remember. I've already forgotten. Young MC.
Oh, man.
A bunch of Young MC I remember listening to.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of my favourite
Saint Germain. That was the house kind of tune back then.
That was after high school again, though, wasn't it?
I remember. No, I remember listening to Saint Germain in high school.
What about Chips?
Yeah, that was what I brought to the table. Oh man, if we could say
Alicia Keys.
Alicia Keys. Did she start her takeoff?
Yeah. What's her face was well into her.
Who? Annabelle
FM.
She was into the whole R&B scene.
Well, probably we were full into Marvin Gaye at the end of Year 12. I don't know if that was during Year 12, but I remember like at all the beach house parties we were dancing to Marvin Gaye, which was like within 4 months of leaving high school. But yeah, Shaggy was big.
Maya?
Who's Maya?
I mean, that's the problem with me going through my list. I've got a lot of old stuff that I used to introduce, like Salt and Pepper. Let's talk about Sex, Baby. Earth, Wind and Fire. I got everyone into. We got everyone to. Maybe our group got everyone to. Weird Al. Remember like Weird Al? Well, Weird Al's still kind of big for that kind of group. People into that.
Yeah, I think Weird Al's kind of an evergreen for those people that are into Weird Al.
Obviously, in that post that few months after high school, we were full into Supertramp.
But Supertramp was such a specific beach house album.
Yeah.
For those for the listeners who don't know us, James's family's beach house. For the longest time, it didn't have a TV. So we'd go down there for parties, and it didn't have a TV, and it didn't have a stereo. It had a vinyl player. So we would bring a stereo down with us, though, wouldn't we? But we'd listen to the vinyls that were there. And there was a Supertramp vinyl, Supertramp Breakfast in America. And really, that's like the sound of waking up at a beach house to me. Because whoever would wake up first would go upstairs, put it on Supertramp as loud as they could. Breakfast in America. And just that album is
Millen Collin. You and Max and I had the whole punk.
Yeah.
That was a big punk
side
there
thing.
Was a bit of a
Max.
punk vibe going on.
No Effects, Pennywise.
Fat Records.
Blink 182, that was like...
Smashing Pumpkins. I remember you had that album.
Wasn't Blink kind of a bit hated by the hardcore punk scene?
Oh, yeah.
Because they were pop punk?
Yeah, because Brie was full into Blink 182. She was... And Brie and Gina used to...
They were loved.
Kids in America.
But that was a cover of it.
They were loved, and then eventually they became hated.
Oh, really?
But I think that was just because like people were like, oh, too cool for that shit.
Oh, because like the general population started enjoying Blink-182.
And it became pop.
And whereas punk was all about fighting the system.
Yeah, definitely. And we were all about that shit, you know?
Well, yeah.
I hated the system.
White middle class kids.
Sophie Ellis Baxter, Murder on the Dance Floor.
Oh, she was amazing. She had one of those gorgeous wide faces that I quite like.
She's still around. I still see her mentioned around. She'll see in the dance music scene.
Well, she was in one of my mum's magazines just recently on the cover. And I was like, hey, it's Sophie. And there's an article about her and her little kid. And it's like,
oh, fuck, who's that? Marilyn Manson.
Oh, The Beautiful People. He was great. What a contribution he made. Now he goes by the stage name Lady Gaga. And is selling many more records. And the public thinks...
Groove Terminator.
Oh, what was their track?
One more...
Groove Terminator.
One More Time, the Sunshine Song.
Was that them? Groove Terminator?
James,
can you... I'm going to plug this in. My headphones.
What was that song that started with, I want to rap about space and Mars?
Yeah, I don't know if it's
Is that one? Groove Terminator?
Nah, I want to...
Rap about space and Mars.
Oh, it's on the... I'm looking at the computer. Okay, I have to look at... I have to open that.
Cool Keith should keep it real. Cool Keith should rap about space and Mars. Was that in high school?
Yeah, that would have been high school.
And it had that video clip with the midget? No, you know what Run DMC song was massive? It was that Run DMC versus Jason Nevins.
Yeah, I like that because that's the way it is. But I think that was just our group, but there wasn't like a universal...
What? No, that was on like video hits and stuff.
I have to find my library. Okay, sorry. Well, we've got 15 minutes, but we should wrap up and we can revisit this next week with Nick here.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I had some show notes, just a couple of quick things to talk about. And I'll just probably talk about them for about 10 seconds each.
Well,
but I can't remember what they are. Campbell's Corner, here it comes. In the last few minutes of the show.
There was Lego and there's a YouTube video.
Okay, so the YouTube video was of a dude cutting shit with a samurai sword. If you haven't seen it...
Oh shit, I watched that. It was
okay, awesome. You've seen it. So it's just fucking awesome. And a dude cutting shit with a samurai sword. So he cuts like a snow pea, right? And it's sat on a pole, laying down sideways, and he cuts it in half. Now...
Cuts it in half sideways.
Sideways. How wide's a snow pea? Like a centimetre tops?
Less than a centimetre.
And he cuts it in half. Man, that shit's amazing. And he cuts it like from the sheath, the sword's in its sheath, right? And he does it in one motion, just like unsheaths it.
So they have a close-up camera on it?
Yeah, slow-mo.
Yeah,
like a military slow-mo camera. Like, you can see that shit. Okay, he cuts a whole bunch of other weird stuff, and you're like, oh my god, this guy's amazing. Then he cuts like a BB gun pellet as it gets fired at him. He cuts the shit in half. And they've got it on slow-mo camera. You can see it. He cuts a BB gun pellet. Someone shoots it at him. And he cuts some other stuff, and it's just totally awesome. Now, I love Japanese game shows.
Oh my god. I just saw the snow pea just then.
Yeah, that's nothing. And then he does an umbrella. He does like a shiitake... not an umbrella. He does like a mushroom, a shiitake mushroom, and he cuts the umbrella head off it in half. Okay, so I love Japanese game shows. Unbeatable Banzuki is one of my favorite shows. It's showing on SBS. It's just wonderful. One time when I was in Japan, I saw a game show, and there were some toboggan guys going down a toboggan chute on a frozen swordfish. Yeah, I know. Think about that. It was cool. And there was another dude doing farts out of a ninja suit, and they had like, I don't know if they were CGIing the farts or they had like some sort of camera that could detect the heat of the farts, but he was trying to like doing barrel rolls and things and farting at the same time or something. I don't know. But part of the wonder of it is just, I don't know, not knowing what's going on. So that was one of my things. And the other thing was about Lego prices. Recently I went to purchase some Lego online, and I was on the online shop. I loaded up my card. I went to the checkout, and I realized I was in the US store. So I flicked over to the Australian store, and the price doubled.
What?
The flat, like, the numbers doubled.
Yeah.
Right? And then you factor in, like, the conversion rate.
Shipping.
And shipping
fee.
and shit. So I haven't checked the shipping, but, like, I just went to, like, a currency converter, and I checked, and, like, the prices are less than half price now with the currency exchange rate.
There is you're asking for someone to help you out. I think there's websites that will receive your...
Oh, my God, is that the Hole to Hell? Or was it a shark, or that robot, or the cannibal?
Which one was it?
But yeah, there are
talking about
websites.
this.
I don't know what they are. I'll try and find and put them in the show notes. But there are websites that will receive your products and then
forward them.
ship it to you separately.
Right. Because I'm just thinking, like, even if I'm paying, like, twice the postage, if the shit's half the price...
Yeah. You're still saving.
I mean, when you're talking about the little sets, you know, if it's $8 instead of $4, I mean, you know... I mean, that sucks, but it's not that big a deal. But you start looking at the bigger stuff, Hogwarts Castle. Yeah. It's $180 here. You buy it online, it's like $90.
Yeah.
It's like US.
Yeah.
Yeah. 180 Australian, it's like $90 US, so it's like $87 Australian or something.
Who makes that extra money? Is it Lego, or is it the company? Who's making that extra money?
So I think in the States, Lego's come out and talked about this because everyone around the world is like, what the fuck? Because everyone else is paying like Australian rates.
Oh, right.
Like everyone else,
only
it's
US.
America that's getting the good deal.
Yeah.
And it's because they're so competitive and all their stockers are so like intense with their bargaining and and they just like, so Lego's profit margin in the States is probably really narrow, and the market won't accept the higher price. You know, like people won't pay whereas in Australia everyone's grown up paying this amount. Lego's like a premium product, we pay this and that's what we pay, and the market will tolerate it, but in the States they won't. And that's basically what Lego said. Lego's basically said the US won't tolerate the prices everyone else is putting up with, so we have to sell for less. But man, that's a big like cut, you know, because I wasn't looking at spending a lot of money. I was spending like $100 or something basically to get, you know, stuff for Christmas and stuff for a couple of other parts and things. But then it's like, man, if I could get $200 worth of Lego for $100,
Yeah.
why wouldn't I do that?
Yeah.
Do it.
And then all of a sudden the Hogwarts Castle looks like a bargain.
Well, I don't know exactly, but I'll try and find it for you, but you can probably also look yourself. There are websites that specialize in just receiving your stock in US and sending it to you for a lot cheaper than it was sent to you originally.
Anyway, I'll look into it. If anyone else is outraged,
I'm outraged.
just get outraged, just get pissed off. And
I'm
let me know.
pissed.
All right, next week, listeners, are we having a special guest?
Yes, hopefully next week is going to be the Canadian special.
Canadian special. We're going to be talking about all things Canadian, all things maple and syrupy, and partially French and cold and moose-like, with our special guest Nick, who was a dear high school friend of ours, a Canadian student who made his way into our hearts and souls. And he's been gone for a long time, back to his frozen wasteland of Canada. But he's back for a holiday and for our 10-year reunion, and he's going to be on our podcast. Hopefully he'll melt your wintry hearts. He was quite charming.
Yeah.
And funny.
He'll be hopefully next week, but one of the next 3 weeks he will hopefully be.
He'll definitely be. He'll be into it.
Yeah.
One of the greatest things I remember about him was his ability to backflip. I've actually asked him if he's still able to.
On subjects or
No. He could physically backflip. He was capable of backflipping.
Yeah.
And I Facebooked him and said, is that a verb? Do you Facebook people?
Oh,
Yeah,
you
probably.
definitely Facebook people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I hit him up on Facebook and I said, can you still backflip? And he said, I can still try. And I said, that's scary. Make sure you've got travel insurance. I don't want to be responsible, but I'd like to see a backflip. Nick, we look forward to you.
The audio version of backflip.
I'm keen on seeing a backflip, actually.
Oh, man. He was sweet at backflip. I remember we used to get pissed and just be like, backflip, backflip. And he'd do one and we'd be like, what?
The reunion. I'm expecting some backflipping.
Oh, are there certain things we're expecting from people at the reunion?
I'm expecting backflipping. I'm expecting Jenna to cry.
Yes, I'm expecting her to have a meltdown.
Will she bring babies?
I don't know. She's got a couple. She's got 2.
Yeah.
I'm expecting James to act completely inappropriately, and then the next day claim he was acting completely appropriately, and everyone else was out of control.
I was sober in high school, thank you very much. It wasn't until I finished my tea that I
became an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Anyone else expecting anything from anyone else? What's typical behaviour?
A certain thing we're not allowed to mention on air that I'm curious to investigate.
That's
Wow,
Harry
that's
wasn't
vague.
here. No, well, me and Cam were talking about before. We remember Harry wasn't here, so
Okay, well, we might shut the mics off and have a chat about this.
Yeah.
Dear listeners, tune in next week for more excitement and adventure.
Fangin' around.
We didn't even talk about vampires. Vampire of the week.
Oh, we missed vampire. Hold on, who's hot or not?
You guys have.
Who's the hot?
We haven't updated the website or the show notes. Okay, Vampire of the Week. This week it's Dead and Loving It. It's Leslie Nielsen.
Oh, really?
I haven't seen that film. Has anyone else seen it? I just remember it.
Pick. What was the hottest vampire or a liar in Queen of the Damned?
Oh, look, that was the last
Nice.
movie. It was released posthumously.
Yeah.
And the world
Did you
went
guys actually
wild.
follow her movies other than Romeo Must Die?
After I did not.
I rewatched Romeo Must Die. It was on TV the other day.
with
and
all
I
the X-ray
rewatched it.
stuff. I was thinking about it just
Yeah,
recently.
And she's pretty cute. It's kind of a
Oh,
shame.
really?
Because I thought I always have this disturbed memory that she just did the soundtrack, and it was actually the other
Don't say it.
like
Don't say it. The other one,
is it not Felicia but
Alicia Keys.
No.
Maya.
no
Beyonce.
no the hot black girl,
The other
hot black girl, Venetia.
Oh, yeah.
Venetia Tilbrook.
No,
She was in high school.
high school.
She wasn't black.
Vivacia A. Fox.
Yeah.
I thought it was her that was acting and it was her that did the soundtrack, but no, Elia was acting and she did the soundtrack. And so, then I was extra sad
Romeo
after
Must Die.
watching it. Yeah.
And it
She was
Jet
an
Li as well,
amazing
wasn't it?
talent
yeah.
taken from us before her
Yeah.
time.
And we often wonder what happened. What
She's
could have
like
been.
the John Lennon of our times.
No, she wasn't. I'm sorry, family of a lie. She was not. Now,
she could have been though.
she was also in Queen of the Damned, and she
Yeah.
played the eponymous queen.
Yeah. She's a vampire of the week. Did you guys even see
I haven't
movie?
seen that film.
Nah, need me.
No.
James, have you seen it?
But she was pretty good as a singer in the quintessential songs of our time.
She was. She
Okay,
will
but did you
forever
see?
No,
be remembered.
I did not.
Okay, so none of us has seen the Vampire of the
I
Week.
know it had Stuart Townsend in his comeback film, but
Was that Stuart Townsend?
yeah, I think so. The guy. I think, so.
Oh, I keep remembering it as being Joaquin Phoenix, but obviously
I think he was
not.
dead by then.
Joaquin Phoenix?
Oh no.
No, you think of his brother.
Yeah, River Phoenix.
River Phoenix.
No, it
He's
was
been dead
definitely
for a
not
long
Joaquin.
time.
No.
Okay. Okay, well, it's a film none of us have seen. We've all seen the poster, though, and can agree she looks great in it.
Yeah.
The end. Vampire of the Week.
Yeah.
See you next week.
No, we're gonna pin the show. Okay, so where can you find us? Fanginaround.com is our website. You can find links to find out how to listen live,
How to fang.
how to subscribe, if
How to
you're
become a
just
fang
listening to
banger.
this, how to download episodes, find out about our D&D club. But where can we find you, Campbell, on the internet?
You can find me at campbellwhite.com. Just Google my name or hit me up on Twitter at campbellwhite. I post all sorts of shit all the time. Just get involved. Give me your money.
Harry, how are you?
Yeah, it's probably best to Twitter Campbell at Campbell. And you can tell me.
Harry is Harry_yeah, but he's not sure if he can actually remember the password to check his Twitter.
He receives email updates when you send him stuff.
Oh,
So send him
okay,
stuff.
so email him. Or
Sure.
Twitter him so that it emails him.
Look,
Harry
we'll talk amongst ourselves if you send any of us anything.
I'm the guy called Tom. And if you see Fred Bates, pressure him to sending us, an outtake from his European adventures.
Fred, keep it real. Send us an update about what you're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, if this was the 1900s, we'd have received a letter at least by now. Fucking hell.
So, thanks for tuning to Fang Around episode 5-ish. We'll see you next week.
Fangin. Okay, now drop some fat beats and tell me what you're talking about. Can I get a beat? Can I get a motherfucking beat? Mint and yogurt flavor naan. Damn tasty, even though I'm trying not to eat bread. Tongue out. Guy the kid can't sing falsetto. Why you make him sing songs with falsetto? All eyes are on huge asteroid buzzing Earth on November 8th. Leonard David. Halal and kosher. Hit by Dutch band. BBC News on Richard Dawkins Net. Rapid expansion of coal yeast. We should do a Twitter rap. That's kind of hot.
Twitter rap.
I'm just reading.
That was good.
I was just reading from my Twitter feed.